Chapter 121. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Then I'll wait for your good news." Then, he took out 2 jugs of newly brewed red blood wine and 2 beggars' chickens wrapped in lotus leaves. The lotus leaves came from those plants that never bloomed. Wang Daoyuan no longer spoiled them and often plucked a few lotus leaves to make beggar's chicken. Seeing that there was wine and meat, Wang Shui immediately became interested. He grabbed a chicken, tore off a drumstick, took a bite, and said, "It's really a rare delicacy in the world." Then, he grabbed a jug of wine and drank a big mouthful. He said intoxicatedly, "If I had such good wine and delicacies every day, I wouldn't exchange it for a golden core." You really know how to enjoy yourself. Not only can you drink, but you're also good at cooking delicacies. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "This chicken is called Jade Bone Phoenix Tail Pheasant, a first-rank middle-grade spiritual bird. I still have a few living ones, so the family can raise them. In the future, 12th uncle, it's not impossible for you to eat chicken and drink wine every day." Wang Shui was overjoyed. "Really? Why don't we raise a few in the Spirit Spring Cave?" Wang Daoyuan glanced at him and said, "You don't want the forbidden spirit silkworm? Do you want to smell chicken poop and brew wine all day? Then forget it. The forbidden spirit silkworm and the spiritual wine are more important." Wang Shui said regretfully. Wang Daoyuan came to the Spirit Spring Cave to see the situation and didn't have any business. After eating and drinking with the 12th uncle and Wang Shui, he left. After leaving the Spirit Spring Cave, he used the cloud escape to enter Qingxi village and went ashore. There were still 2 months before the auction of the Foundation Establishment Pill, so there was plenty of time. Since he was passing by and had nothing to do, he naturally had to go home to see his parents. He also wanted to collect a few common seasonings, such as pepper, onion, ginger, and garlic, and plant them in the space of the spiritual pearl to cultivate non-ranked spiritual plants. With enough seasonings, he could recreate the delicacies of his previous life. As soon as he went ashore, he heard wolf howls coming from Qingxi village. Wang Daoyuan immediately used the sky-peering technique and looked into the village. He saw Dahe and a dozen black cloud wolves besieging a cultivator. This cultivator looked to be in his 60s or 70s. He was at the 7th level of Qi refinement and wore the green Daoist robe of the Liang family. Dahe had improved a lot in the past year, but it was only equivalent to a cultivator at the 2nd level of Qi disciple. 10 black cloud wolves were only equivalent to a cultivator at the 1st level of Qi disciple. If it weren't for the fact that they had the advantage in numbers, they would have been defeated long ago. Dahe and the black cloud wolf both had many wounds on their bodies. This Liang clan cultivator is also a piece of trash. If it were me, I would be able to kill a few tier 1 low-grade spirit beasts in one move. Wang Daoyuan took out an image recording pearl, activated it with his divine sense, and threw it on a tree. The image recording orb was a special type of Dharma artifact. Normally, its grade was not high. Once it was activated, it could record the current scene. Then, he used invisibility and breath concealment and slowly approached. When he was more than 10 feet away from the Liang clan cultivator, he directly used cloud mist escape and appeared in front of the Liang clan cultivator. He kicked him to the ground. Then, he took out the black yang sword and pressed it against the Liang clan cultivator's neck, asking, "May I ask why Dao Yu of the Liang clan trespassed into my Wang clan's territory? And even injured the spirit beasts of my Wang clan?" In the cultivation world, hitting someone else's spirit beast was equivalent to hitting someone else's clan. Of course, if the spirit beast did evil, the clan also had to bear the responsibility. But hitting someone else's spirit beast in their territory could be seen as declaring war on the clan. Of course, the Liang clan cultivator would not admit it. Even if the Liang clan was powerful, they still had to abide by the rules of the Netherworld sect. Attacking other clans for no reason did not cause serious consequences. With Liang Liang's protection, the Liang clan would not suffer too much. However, he would definitely be severely punished. It was also possible that he would be killed directly. He quibbled, This is clearly a demonic beast that was harassing the village. I helped drive it away. Wang Daoyuan called Dahe. Dahe immediately shook its head and wagged its tail as it walked over, rubbing its head against his leg. He sneered, "Do you still have anything to say now? Not to mention that this is not a demonic beast, even if it is. Does my Wang clan need your Liang clan to worry about my matters? According to the rules of the Netherworld sect, the subordinate clans of the Netherworld sect have the right to not allow cultivators from other clans to enter their territory. My Wang clan has also announced that Liang clan cultivators are not allowed to enter my Wang clan's territory. I remember that this rule was proposed by your Liang clan's ancestor, right? What, is the Liang clan knowingly breaking the rules, or does the Liang clan not need to abide by the rules of the Netherworld sect? Back then, in order to suppress the Wang, Yang, and Meng clans, the Liang clan proposed this rule and obtained the approval of the higher-ups of the Netherworld sect. The Liang clan also followed this rule and did not allow the Yang clan to use Qingshi's wharf. In these 300 years, the Yang clan was disgusted. The Liang clan cultivator knew that he was in the wrong and could not win, so he admitted defeat. I was blind and mistook the Wang clan's spirit beast for a demonic beast. I am willing to compensate for the Wang clan's losses. Please be magnanimous, Dao Yu. Wang Daoyuan thought to himself, Qingxi village is too close to Mirror Iron Mountain. If this matter is blown up, it will easily attract the Liang clan's attention to Mirror Iron Mountain. The matter of the clan's transaction with Green Willow Province will be easily exposed. If I directly capture this person and refine him into a doppelganger, it will be difficult to guarantee that this matter will not be exposed in broad daylight. If the Liang clan comes to ask for him, then there will be great trouble. It is better to reduce the impact. Thus, he replied, fellow Daoist, it's pardonable that you were mistaken. However, since you attacked, my Wang clan's spirit beast will not be beaten for nothing. Dao Yu, leave behind your storage pouch and magic tools, and I can pretend that this did not happen. The Liang clan cultivator felt a wave of heartache. Although the items on him were not all of his wealth, giving them all away would still be a great loss. However, it was useless to feel heartache. He was attacking the Wang clan's spirit beasts in their territory. If the Wang clan did not let him go, he would definitely die. The Liang clan would definitely not pay such a huge price to protect a 7-stage qi refinement cultivator with no future. He gritted his teeth and threw out his storage pouch and magic longsword. Then, he stood up and left dejectedly. Wang Daoyuan opened the storage pouch and took a look. He directly stored it in the space of his spiritual pearl along with the longsword. He really did not care for this trash. The longsword was only a mid-grade level 1 magic tool. There were only a few hundred spirit stones, a few talismans, and some pills in the storage pouch. At this moment, Dahe was still rubbing its head against his leg. He pointed at the dozen or so black cloud wolves and asked, Dahe, are these your subordinates? Dahe nodded proudly. Wang Daoyuan cursed inwardly, beasts. The dozen or so black cloud wolves were all female wolves. They had only become demon beasts for less than a year, and they already had a harem. On second thought, this wasn't a big deal. Dahe had worked hard to look after the village for more than 20 years. Why couldn't it enjoy itself? This was also good. When Dahe strengthened the wolf pack, it could better stop the Liang clan from causing trouble and protect the safety of Qingxi village. As long as Dahe's strength could suppress the wolf pack, its position as the wolf king would be very stable. It would also not be afraid of the wolf pack's retaliation. He had the space of his spiritual pearl. If he cultivated Dahe with all his strength, would there be any other wolf whose cultivation level surpassed his? Dahe ran into its kennel and took out an empty storage pouch. It looked at Wang Daoyuan pitifully. Wang Daoyuan did not know whether to laugh or cry. It knew how to pretend to be pitiful and ask for benefits. Chapter 122. Wang Daoyuan took out 200 spirit-feeding pills and put them into Dahe's empty storage bag. This was what he refined when he was practicing alchemy in the Green Willow continent. Spirit-feeding pills were specially used to raise spirit beasts and were more suitable for Dahe than spirit-gathering pills. The spirit beasts in the space of the spiritual pearl had green watermelons and spirit grains to eat, so they didn't need spirit-feeding pills. After Dahe got the benefits, it turned back to its kennel and dug a hole to bury the storage bag. Then it took its harem out of the village. Wang Daoyuan put away the image recording pearl and walked home. An immortal from another family came to the village and even fought with the wolves. The villagers were so scared that they hid at home and didn't dare to come out. After he drove away the cultivators of the Liang family, the villagers dared to walk out of their houses. Wang Fu also opened the door and welcomed his son in. As soon as he entered the inner courtyard, Mrs. Wang Yang asked worriedly, Hua, were you hurt when you fought with the foreign immortal? Wang Daoyuan comforted her, Mother, I'm fine. That's someone from the Liang family, who doesn't get along with our Wang family. He beat Dahe in our Wang family's territory, which is against the rules. I didn't want to make a big deal out of it, so I asked him to leave all the good things on him and let him go. Although he's old, he's very weak. He was subdued by me in one move and didn't have a chance to fight back. I'm fine. Mrs. Wang Yang asked again, how is Senhua doing in the clan? Can he eat his fill? Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, Mother, don't worry. He's now learning from the Grand Duke in the clan. I left him a few 100 kilograms of spirit grains, and the clan also has spirit grains. It's enough for him to eat. Mrs. Wang Yang was relieved and took her daughter-in-law and grandson into the kitchen. Wang Fu took his two sons into the main room. After entering the main room, Wang Daoyuan asked, Father, what's going on with Dahe? When did it become the Wolf King? Wang Fu praised, speaking of which, Dahe is the savior of our village. Half a year ago, a pack of wolves ran to our village. When I saw the wolves coming, I quickly used the thing that the immortal in the clan gave me to call for help. Your elder brother led the young men in the village to stop the wolves. But I didn't expect this pack of wolves to be so powerful. They injured quite a few people as soon as they met. Your elder brother was almost injured, and 2 villagers were bitten to death by the wolves. I reckon that before the immortals arrive, everyone in our village will be eaten by the wolves. Fortunately, Dahe was there. It rushed directly to the Wolf King. The other wolves were frightened and did not dare to get involved. In the end, Dahe bit the Wolf King to death. The other wolves were afraid of Dahe and didn't dare to fight with it. Some of them ran away, and the remaining 10 or so wolves recognized Dahe as their king. The wolves have been staying nearby. With Dahe taking care of them, they don't bite people in our village. Since Dahe became the Wolf King, no wild beasts dared to come near them. The immortals in the clan saw that the wolves didn't hurt people, so they let them stay nearby. Wang Daoyuan ate a meal at home, leaving behind a few 100 kilograms of spirit grains and 2 stalks of wild ginseng. Then, he left the house and went to his own vegetable field to look for seasonings. Onion, ginger, garlic, pepper, and other common seasonings were gathered without leaving the village. In addition to the chili he found earlier, the seasonings in his hands were enough to make most of the delicacies. Since he had already visited his parents, the next step was to return to Qingli City and search for spiritual items at a low price. Before leaving, he set up a stone tablet at the entrance of the village. It said, "This is the Black Cloud Wolf Pack, the spirit beasts raised by my Wang family. Anyone who attacks without permission will be investigated to the end." This stone tablet was the same as the warning signs in his previous life. It didn't have much practical use. But once something happened, it would be very useful when someone was held responsible. In order to prevent someone from destroying the stone tablet after attacking the wolf pack, he also used an image recording pearl to record the process of setting up the stone tablet. Wang Daoyuan was in a hurry to search for spiritual items, so he didn't wait for the family's spirit ship. He directly jumped into the clear stream, used the cloud escape, and rushed to Qingli City. There were no second-rank demonic beasts downstream of the clear stream. He used the cloud escape, and the first-rank aquatic demonic beasts couldn't catch up with him at all. There were no surprises or dangers along the way, and he smoothly arrived at Qingli City. He didn't return to his store, but went shopping directly. The last time he came back to buy a talisman pen, Qingli City was not much different from when he left. After a few months, the streets were clearly more lively. The carpets and stalls were about to block the doors of the stores. Although there were many stalls, no one was selling second-rank spiritual items. These factions were really able to keep their composure. Wang Daoyuan stayed in Qingli City for more than half a year. There were many good things in the Spirit Pearl space. He really didn't care for ordinary first-rank spiritual items. Some old and cunning rogue cultivators knew that many people had the intention of scamming, so they took out some rare trash items and sold them as treasures. They really deceived many people. These methods were child's play to him. After fighting a battle of wits and courage with the brokers in Qingli City for more than half a year, those brokers were the best of the best. Compared to these rogue cultivators who wanted to deceive people, they were much better. After seeing so many brilliant scams, these little tricks were difficult to look at. After shopping for half a day, he still didn't see anything that caught his eye. Just as he was preparing to return to his store, a stall owner called out to him, "This Wang family's Daoyu, I have many good things here. Why don't you come and take a look?" This stall owner looked to be in his 50s. He had a smile on his face and looked rather honest. Wang Daoyuan didn't have any urgent matters either, so he might as well see what good things he had. On this stall owner's stall, the things displayed were very miscellaneous: first-rank spirit herbs and seeds, demonic beast scales, bones, teeth, etc., and some ores. However, there wasn't a single thing that was worth more than 10 spirit stones. Wang Daoyuan pointed at the stall and said contemptuously, "Just these?" The stall owner smiled and said, "Of course not. Who would put good things out in the open?" Finished talking, he took out more than 10 high-grade first-rank spirit talismans from his storage bag. As a second-rank spirit talisman master, Wang Daoyuan could tell at a glance that these spirit talismans were not of a low standard. The person who refined them could be considered one of the best among the first-rank spirit talisman masters. The stall owner said, "These are spirit talismans that I refined. They're definitely cheaper than those sold in the store. I wonder if Daoyu is interested in them?" Wang Daoyuan didn't reply and extended his right hand with the back of his hand facing the stall owner. The stall owner smiled embarrassedly. "I didn't expect Daoyu to be of the same trade. I was rude." Spirit talisman masters use talisman brushes all year round. When they held the brush, the first knuckle of their ring finger would hold the shaft of the brush. After a long time, a piece of flesh would protrude from the knuckle and there would be a layer of calluses on the surface. As spirit talisman masters, they could tell at a glance if they were of the same trade. The stall owner put away the spirit talisman and took out an egg from his storage bag, smiling. "Daoyu, this is the egg of a second-rank eagle-type demon bird." Wang Daoyuan used the heaven-peering technique and used his spirit consciousness to peer into the egg. Ordinary demon beast eggshells had the effect of blocking spirit consciousness. Using spirit consciousness to peer into the egg directly, one could only tell if the egg was alive or dead. However, the heaven-peering technique had a very good penetrating effect on things that blocked spirit consciousness and could barely see the situation inside the egg. He saw that the chick inside the egg had already taken shape and would break out of the shell before long. The chick's beak was very long and there was a hook at the end. It was clearly an eagle-type demon bird. Coincidentally, after he obtained the Golden Rock Wrestling Dragon technique, he wanted to catch an eagle and use the phantom of the Golden Rock to simulate the eagle's melee moves. That was when he came across an eagle egg. Furthermore, the spirit energy fluctuations emitted by this eagle egg were quite strong, comparable to that of a level 3 Qi refinement human cultivator. If it had such cultivation before hatching, it would be at least a second-rank demon bird when it matured. Chapter 123. This eagle egg was genuine, and the stall owner knew its value, so it was impossible to pick it up. Wang Daoyuan didn't beat around the bush and said directly, "Give me a reasonable price." The stall owner didn't speak and stretched out 3 fingers, indicating that he wanted 3,000 spirit stones. The price of a rank 2 monster's egg or cub fluctuated greatly, ranging from 1,000 to 5,000 spirit stones, and some of the more valuable species were priced at more than 10,000 spirit stones. 3,000 spirit stones wasn't expensive, but it wasn't cheap either. The key was that the eggs of the same species of monster birds all looked similar. Even after hatching, it was difficult to recognize. Only after half or even adulthood could it be easy to judge the species. Wang Daoyuan asked, "May I ask what species this thing is?" The stall owner smiled awkwardly. "To tell you the truth, Dao Yu, I got this thing by accident. I haven't seen its parents, so I can't be sure what species it is." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Then fellow Daoists asking price is not very generous. Both of them are second-grade eagle demon birds. No one wants the black-feathered eagle's egg for 1,000 spirit stones, but there are people who want the Gale eagle's egg for 6,000 to 7,000 spirit stones. You are not sure of the species of this eagle egg. If it is the black-feathered eagle's egg, then I will lose a lot." The stall owner laughed. "If it is the Gale eagle's egg, won't Dao Yu make a lot of money?" Wang Daoyuan was a little surprised. This stall owner looked honest, but business was not honest. He waved his hand and said, "Dao Yu also know which is more common between the Gale eagle and the black-feathered eagle. The probability of this egg being the black-feathered eagle is much higher. I will pay 2,000 spirit stones. If you agree, then the deal is done. If not, I will leave." The stall owner thought for a while and nodded in agreement. Wang Daoyuan gave the stall owner 2,000 spirit stones, took the eagle egg, put it in the space of the spirit bead, and left the stall. He turned around with a smile on his face. Although he wasn't sure what species the eagle egg was, it was definitely not the black-feathered eagle. When he used the divine sense eye to spy on the situation inside the egg, he felt a trace of metal attribute spirit power fluctuation. This eagle egg should be a metal-type demon bird. When it grows up, its attack power should not be too weak. Although it might not be a precious breed, it wouldn't be too bad either. If he bought it for 2,000 spirit stones, at least he wouldn't suffer a loss. In fact, he might even earn a small profit. Other than this eagle egg, he didn't encounter any other phase that caught his eye. There was no point in continuing to shop, so he simply returned to the shop. Returning to the Jade Spring Pill Talisman Pavilion, fourth brother Wang Daoqing came up to him and said, "The matter of you coming back, 12th uncle has already sent a letter. 9th great uncle said that you should go to the sundry goods store to see him as soon as you return." After hearing this, he was a little nervous. He did not inform his family and ran to Oasis to spy. When he went to see 9th great uncle, he would definitely be reprimanded. The last time he came back to buy a tier 2 talisman brush, he didn't even dare to return to the shop. This time, he was betrayed by the 12th uncle again. He couldn't hide anymore, so he had to go to the 9th uncle's cave next door. Just as he was about to knock on the door opened, and a vigorous voice sounded, "You still know how to come back?" It was such an important matter, yet he ran off without discussing it with his elders. "That place is a tiger's den. Aren't you afraid of dying there?" After waiting for 9th great uncle to finish his outburst, he cautiously walked in. 9th great uncle's cave was very simple. There was a stone couch, a table, and a chair. On the table was an account book, brush, ink, paper, and inkstone. Wang Zhida was sitting on the chair behind the table, glaring at Wang Daoyuan. When he raised his head, he saw the old man's tiger-like eyes staring at him. He quickly smiled and said, "9th great uncle, aren't I fine? You also know that I've been clever since I was young. That group of rogue cultivators was fooled by me." Wang Zhida sighed and said, "Forget it. Since you're back, I won't reprimand you. In view of your great contributions to the family, the patriarch and the elders unanimously decided to recommend you as the Wang family's 10th elder. Our Wang family has never had an elder under the age of 21. That's right, I'll give you 50,000 contribution points for the things you gave to the family. Take some time to go back to Jade Spring Peak. Now that you've become an elder, you have to go back and go through the motions. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, it just so happens that I got a lot of good things from Green Willow Province. I'll give them to the family if I don't need them for the time being. In addition, I have good news for you, ninth great uncle. I'm already a low-grade second-tier talisman master. My success rate in refining low-grade second-tier talismans is 35%. Wang Jida's eyes widened in shock. After a long time, he reacted and asked, really? Wang Daoyuan nodded. Wang Jida immediately stood up from the chair and pulled him behind the table, making him sit on the chair. He then took out 10 low-grade second-tier talisman papers and said, here are 10 talisman papers. Now, let's start crafting talismans. I want to see how good your level is. Wang Daoyuan took out his talisman brush and began crafting low-grade second-tier talismans. In the past few months, he had been refining pills and crafting talismans at a high intensity. In addition, he had fused with a split soul, and his spiritual sense cultivation had improved by quite a bit. Without the assistance of medicinal pills and spirit wine, he used less than 10 hours to finish using all 10 low-grade second-tier talisman papers, successfully crafting 4 talismans. His current state was not bad. At this level, even without medicinal pills and spirit wine, he could still refine 14 or 15 times a day without affecting his success rate. Ninth great uncle held the 4 low-grade second-tier talismans. After a long time, he said with gratification, the younger generation will surpass us in time. At such a young age, your talisman crafting level has already surpassed mine. I'm very proud to be able to cultivate an outstanding successor for the family. But I was surpassed by you so quickly. It seems that this old man is quite useless. I really don't know if I should be happy or sad. Wang Daoyuan chuckled and said, being able to nurture juniors who are stronger than you can show your ability. Without your guidance, how could I be where I am today? Ninth great uncle heaved a long sigh and said, I was too focused. Only when the family's disciples are stronger than their seniors can the family prosper. I should be happy. You also make a trip back to Jade Spring Peak as soon as possible and let the patriarch and the rest be happy too. After Wang Daoyuan bid farewell to ninth great uncle, he immediately returned to Jade Spring Peak. He did not take the spirit ship and still used the cloud mist escape to go upstream along the clear glass river. In less than a day, he returned to Jade Spring Peak. He had to report the situation outside to head elder, so he did not return to his abode but went straight to the executive hall. Just as he arrived at the Jade Dragon Spring, he saw 3 small mulberry trees planted beside the spring. Near the Jade Dragon Spring's water outlet, there was also purple gold grass and half an acre of jasper watermelon below. Entering the executive hall, there was only head elder handling the family's affairs alone. He had always been very diligent and had been in charge of the family's affairs for several decades. He was cautious and conscientious and had never made a mistake. His importance in the family was not inferior to Wang Jian. When head elder saw Wang Daoyuan come in, he hurriedly got up and said, 10th elder has returned. Quickly, please take a seat. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, 6th great uncle, don't be sarcastic. I was just lucky to find these spiritual items. Head elder waved his hand and said, no need to be too modest. Ninth brother sent a letter saying that your talisman crafting level has already surpassed his. You, the 10th elder, are genuine goods at fair prices. You go down and rest first. I'll make arrangements. Tomorrow, pay respects to the ancestors and officially appoint you as the 10th elder. Chapter 124. On the morning of the second day, Wang Daoyuan put on the clan elder's robe. This robe was not much different from the robes of ordinary clansmen, except that there was a golden fish dragon pattern on the chest. The biggest difference was that the elder's robe was a high-grade level 1 magic tool. Surrounded by the crowd, he walked into the clan's ancestral hall and bowed to the ancestors. The clan leader stood beside the altar and read out Wang Daoyuan's appointment letter. The main content was that although Wang Daoyuan was young, he had contributed a lot to the clan and had become a low-grade level 2 talisman master, reaching the standard to become a clan elder. Then there were some words of encouragement. Finally, the Grand Elder gave him the Elder's Token. The Elder's Token was made of white jade, with a fish dragon pattern carved on the front and Wang Daoyuan's name on the back. With this token, he could command the ordinary clansmen of the Wang clan. Apart from the clan's secret treasury, with the Elder's Token, he could pass through the clan unimpeded, including the 3rd floor of the hidden scripture tower. Only the clan leader and Grand Elder knew where the secret treasury was. The others did not even have the right to know, let alone enter. After the Elder's appointment ceremony, the ordinary clansmen present, regardless of seniority, bowed to him to show their respect for the clan's elder. He returned the bow to the senior clansman to show his respect for the elders. At this point, Wang Daoyuan had officially become the 10th elder of the Wang clan. The ordinary clansmen dispersed, while the clan leader and the various elders came to the meeting hall to conduct a 3-way trial. Without notifying in advance and leaving only a letter, he went to a dangerous place alone. There had to be an explanation. In addition, they would arrange some affairs for him. Other than the 12th uncle Wang Shui, the other elders were in charge of the clan's affairs. The clan leader asked first, Daoyuan, why did you go to the Green Willow region? Wang Daoyuan replied, Clan leader, I heard from Zhao Baogua that he has a shop in Clear Glass City. This old fellow sells goods urgently needed by both sides between Clear Glass City and Green Willow region, making a lot of profit. I pretended to be his grandnephew and took over his business and connections in Green Willow region. The risk of this trip was not very high, and he had earned quite a lot of spirit stones. In addition, I also obtained some rare spiritual items that will be of great use to the family. His words successfully diverted everyone's attention to the rare phase. The Grand Elder asked, what kind of spiritual item is it? Wang Daoyuan began to take things out. He took out 5 pairs of long-eared rabbits, 5 pairs of jade-boned phoenix-tailed pheasants, 3 purple gold alfalfa, and 7 kinds of foundation establishment pills that could reproduce quickly. There were plenty of these things in the space of the spiritual pearl. It didn't matter if there were more or less of these things. However, it was of great value to the clan. Everyone was a little dumbfounded. These were all good things. Finally, he took out a stalk of green jade bamboo. The green jade bamboo he transplanted didn't stay in the space for long before it grew 3 new shoots. At this time, the new shoots also grew into bamboos. The one he took out was one of the newly grown bamboos. This time, everyone's eyes were wide open. After a long time, they finally reacted and praised Wang Daoyuan. He had successfully turned the Tri-Hall joint hearing into a commendation ceremony. Seeing this situation, he struck while the iron was hot. Refining talismans is just my hobby. I'm best at finding spiritual items. Letting me manage the clan's affairs is simply a waste of my talent in finding spiritual items. Therefore, I plan to continue to find a way out for the clan in the future. I can also find some spiritual items to strengthen the clan's foundation. Everyone was dazzled by the spiritual items in front of them and agreed to his proposal without hesitation. Before everyone reacted, he continued, since the clan leader and the elders have agreed, I have nothing else to do. I'll go visit Taigong first. Goodbye. With that, he ran out of the meeting hall. After a while, the clan leader asked, what were we going to discuss today? The Grand Elder replied, it seems that we were going to teach Daoyuan a lesson, but we were all stunned by the spiritual items he took out. Moreover, we seem to have agreed to let him continue to wander outside. The clan leader sighed and said, what a clever little brat. After Wang Daoyuan escaped from the meeting hall, he went to the hidden scripture tower. When he arrived at the hidden scripture tower, he saw Wang Daoyin meditating. In the past year, this kid had grown a little taller, and his body had grown a whole size. He first bowed to Taigong and then waited for his younger brother to finish cultivating. 15 minutes later, Wang Daoyin woke up from his meditation. Wang Daoyuan scanned with his divine sense and saw that his younger brother's cultivation was at the 2nd level of meridian opening. This speed was too slow. With his physique, he could cultivate for 4 to 6 hours a day. When he first started cultivating, his physique was much worse than his younger brother's and he could only cultivate for 15 minutes a day. Even so, his younger brother's cultivation speed was much faster than his. With his 6-inch Thunder Spirit root, he should be able to break through to the Qi refinement realm in about 2 years. After entering the clan for a year, he should have at least 40% of meridian opening. Wang Daoyuan asked, "Little brother, did you not cultivate seriously? Why are you only at the 2nd level of meridian opening?" Tai Gong replied, "You can't blame Dao Yin. This child's physique is special. His body absorbs spiritual energy, causing his cultivation to rise slowly. I can't see what kind of physique he has." Wang Daoyuan took out a few jade watermelons and gave them to Wang Daoyin, saying, "Eat as much as you want. Once you're full, use the meridian opening technique and let me see what's going on with your body." Seeing so much food, Wang Daoyin's eyes turned red. He opened the watermelon and started eating. 15 minutes later, he finished 3 jade watermelons that were more than 10 pounds each. He was finally full and started to use the meridian opening technique. The jade watermelon's spiritual energy content was much higher than that of spiritual grains. To be able to eat 30 to 40 pounds of watermelon in one go, his appetite was too terrifying. Wang Daoyuan used the heaven-peering technique to spy on his younger brother's spiritual energy circulation. He saw that after refining spiritual energy into spiritual energy, he controlled the spiritual energy to circulate through his meridians. After one cycle, he lost 60% of his spiritual energy. After a few cycles of spiritual energy, his meridians, bones, muscles and organs were all strengthened. This was automatic body refinement. Wang Daoyuan asked Tai Gong, "Tai Gong, do you know what kind of special physique can automatically strengthen the physical body?" Tai Gong thought for a long time and shook his head, saying, "I've never heard of a physique that has such a magical effect. Are you Daoyin?" Then, he used his divine sense to probe Wang Daoyin and said in surprise, "It's true. Usually, the food he eats doesn't have so much spiritual energy, so I didn't see it. Our Wang family's library is too small and there aren't any books about special physiques." Wang Daoyuan took out 2 storage bags from the space and handed them to Wang Daoyin. One was about 50 pounds of jerky made from long-eared rabbit meat, and the other was about 500 pounds of spiritual grains. He patted his younger brother's head and said, "Cultivate well. No matter how much you eat, I can afford it. Eat these first and I'll get more for you when you're done." Wang Daoyin asked worriedly, "Brother, is there something wrong with my body?" Wang Daoyuan replied with a smile, "You have a special physique. In the future, you will be stronger than cultivators of the same level. This is a good thing. However, you must not tell others about your special physique." Wang Daoyin nodded. Chapter 125. After all, the Wang clan was only a small power. Their ancestor was only interested in killing demon beasts, so they didn't have many books. Regarding special constitutions, the Savage Sun Palace was the most knowledgeable in Zhao. The core inheritance of the Savage Sun Palace was body tempering techniques, so they were the most knowledgeable about special constitutions. If it wasn't for the enmity between the Wang clan and the Savage Sun Palace, sending Wang Daoyin to the Savage Sun Palace would be the best choice. The current situation wasn't very likely. He could only capture a cultivator of the Savage Sun Palace when his cultivation was high enough and refine him into a clone to pry into the secrets of the Savage Sun Palace. The matter of Wang Daoyin could only be put aside for now. Wang Daoyuan had another reason for returning to the mountain, and that was to learn the water dragon art and the advanced version of the mist escape. He cupped his hands towards Tai Gong and asked tentatively, "Tai Gong, are the water dragon spell and cloud escape art the simplified version? When I was cultivating them, I felt that they had great potential, but I didn't use it." Wang Jiza had lived for a long time and was shrewd enough to see through his thoughts. He stroked his beard and smiled. "No need to test me. These 2 techniques do have higher level content. After all, the ancestor was a golden core cultivator. How could the techniques he created be of the first or second level? It said that the water dragon art was improved from the foundation of the ordinary water dragon art. Actually, that's just a rumor. The foundation of our Wang clan's water dragon art is the 10,000 dragon seatfall, which is a supplementary technique of the art of seatfall. The 10,000 dragon seatfall is extremely powerful. In the past, the ancestor was only a golden core cultivator and used it to kill a golden core cultivator of the Savage Sun Palace. But the drawback is also obvious. After using it, it consumes 80 to 90% of one's spiritual energy. In order to make up for this drawback, the ancestor used the 10,000 dragon seatfall as the foundation and combined many other techniques to create this technique. In order to deceive others, it's called the water dragon art. Although the water dragon art isn't as powerful as the 10,000 dragon seatfall, it's more flexible and uses less spiritual energy. The water dragon art you cultivate is simplified. You can only control the water dragon to fight with the enemy. When the ancestor created the water dragon art, he imitated the innate techniques of the dragonfish. Therefore, the complete water dragon art, the water dragon can use other techniques. As for this cloud mist evasion, naturally, it's a simplified version. The complete cloud mist evasion requires a Zifu disciple to train in. Even if I gave it to you now, it wouldn't be of any use. He paused for a moment, then continued, the complete water dragon art can't be learned by anyone who isn't a family elder. You're qualified now. It's just that the complete water dragon spell requires the use of a water dragon to cast a spell, which has an extremely high requirement for one's divine sense. It's very difficult for those below the peak of qi refinement to even get started. Wang Daoyuan did not answer. He released the power of his spiritual sense and hit one of the pine needles. The pine needle was directly cut off by the power of divine sense. Generally, qi refinement cultivators could only use their spiritual sense to move light objects if they did not use spiritual sense secret techniques. It would be difficult for them to even pierce through a piece of ordinary paper. Not to mention cutting the extremely tough pine needles. Wang Jiza said in surprise, I know that your divine sense strength surpasses those in the same rank, but I didn't expect that it's already strong to this extent. Your spiritual sense cultivation is considered top-notch among peak qi refinement cultivators. You're almost catching up to Shui. You should be able to learn the complete water dragon art. The complete water dragon art manual is on the 3rd floor of the Tripitaka block. You can go up with the elder token. Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and bowed to Tai Gong before entering the Tripitaka block. He had never been to the 3rd floor of the Tripitaka block before. He went up the stairs to the 2nd floor, and at the end of the stairs was a door. He took out the elder token. The token flashed, and the door opened automatically. The 3rd floor was extremely spacious. There was only a bookshelf with a few jade slips on it, including the art of overturning sea, the water dragon art, and the cloud mist escape. Each jade slip was placed in a grid, and the grid was protected by a layer of light. The bookshelf seemed to be made of high-grade spirit wood. With his cultivation, he could not damage the bookshelf at all even if he attacked with all his strength. He used the token to open the light barrier of the grid where the water dragon art was. He took out the jade slip and used his divine sense to examine it. Only then did he realize that there was a layer of restriction on the jade slip that blocked divine sense. He used the heaven-peering art but was unable to break through the restriction. He could only take the jade slip downstairs. When he was downstairs, he handed the jade slip to Tai Gong. Tai Gong took the jade slip and closed the restriction on it. He handed the jade slip to Wang Daoyuan and said, cultivating the water dragon art requires 5,000 contribution points. I guess you also care about this little bit of contribution points. This is the core inheritance of the clan. Remember not to spread it out. He nodded and said, great-grandson understands. I will not spread it out. He took the jade slip and used his divine sense to study it. After memorizing the contents, he returned the jade slip to Tai Gong and bade farewell. Clear Glass City had not reached the stage where they were selling Tier 2 spirit items. There was no point in going there now. Therefore, he returned to his residence and cultivated the complete version of the water dragon art. The complete version of the water dragon art had a much more complicated content to condense the water dragon. The condensed water dragon was also much stronger. Just by looking at the condensed water dragon, there was no difference between the complete version and the simplified version. It seemed like the 12th uncle, Wang Shui, was using the complete version of the water dragon art. No wonder his water dragon art could easily crush opponents of the same level. His own water dragon could only transform into a water dragon armor and release dragon prowess. The complete version of the water dragon art enhanced the simplified version's dragon prowess and water dragon armor. In addition, there were 3 water attribute spells: Water Dragon Prison, Myriad Dragons Emerging from the Sea, and Water Driving Art. The Water Dragon Prison was a sealed prison formed by using water attribute spirit chi. When the enemy was inside, they would be restricted from using spells. It was mainly used to trap and suppress the enemy. The Myriad Dragons Emerging from the Sea was an improved version of the Myriad Dragon Seatfall art. It reduced the explosive power and increased the duration. The large water dragon condensed by the water dragon art was divided into many smaller water dragons to surround and attack the enemy. Its power was much higher than the large water dragon. The water driving art was to control water. When one was in the river, lake, or sea, one could borrow the power of the water to attack the enemy. When using water attribute spells, the power would be greater. The water driving art was similar to dragon prowess. As long as the water dragon was condensed, it would have this ability. The power of the water driving art depended on the condensed water dragon. The stronger the water dragon, the stronger the water driving art. This was originally the dragonfish's water driving art. When Wang Qingzu used it in the water dragon art, its power was much weaker than when the dragonfish used it. The so-called divine art was a special type of spell. It did not require one to control the flow of spirit chi. With a thought, it could be released in an instant. Its power was also much stronger than ordinary spells. Human cultivators needed to be at least in the Yuanying realm to comprehend a divine art. Very few cultivators could comprehend the embryonic form of a divine art in the Golden Core realm. It was called a lesser divine art. However, not everyone could comprehend a divine art. It depended on fate. When the time came, one could suddenly comprehend it while eating or sleeping. If there was no fate, one could not comprehend it even after 100 years of hard work. Divine beasts had innate divine arts. For example, the dragon race was born with the ability to control water. Some demon beasts with divine beast bloodlines had a high probability of awakening a divine art. Furthermore, it was possible for them to awaken it at a lower realm. The dragonfish had awakened the water driving art in the Purple Mansion realm. The water driving art in the water dragon art was only an imitation of the dragonfish's divine art. It could not be used as one wished and its power was much weaker. It could only be considered a powerful passive spell and could not be compared to a divine art. Chapter 126. He had already laid a good foundation for the simplified version of the water dragon art. It was not difficult to condense the water dragon, and he succeeded after a few tries. The water dragon armor was also not difficult. There was no need to practice the water manipulation, but the water dragon prison and 10,000 dragons emerge from the sea were very difficult. After more than 10 days of hard practice, the water dragon prison could only create a fist-sized water bubble, which would burst with a poke, let alone trap the enemy. Using 10,000 dragons emerge from the sea could only split one water dragon into two, and its close combat ability was worse than not using 10,000 dragons emerge from the sea. These two spells relied on the strength of the spiritual power and were powerful with high cultivation. He was only a chi refining cultivator, and it was not easy for him to use them. It was purely wishful thinking to use them against the enemy. Wang Daoyuan was not discouraged. After practicing the complete version of the water dragon art, his strength had improved a little. The water dragon's close combat ability and dragon's power had increased a lot. In addition, the water dragon armor's defensive power had increased greatly. After using the water dragon armor, he could use the water manipulation technique and other water attribute spells to increase the power. The most important thing was that in the future, when his cultivation improved, the combat power of the water dragon art would also increase greatly. It took more than 10 days to practice the water dragon art. There were less than 20 days before the auction of the Foundation establishment pill. At this time, there should be someone selling second-tier spiritual objects in the clear glass market. Before going to the clear glass market, he first went to fourth uncle Wang Shouyuan's cave residence and asked him to help see if the plants that only had leaves and did not bloom were ink jade lotus. If they were, he would raise them well. If not, he would dig them up. After raising them for so long, he could only use them to make beggar's chicken. It was too wasteful. When he came to fourth uncle Wang Shouyuan's cave residence, he saluted and said, "Fourth uncle, I have a question about spiritual plants to ask you." Wang Shouyuan smiled and said, "You are always jumping up and down. Why are you suddenly interested in spiritual plants?" Wang Daoyuan did not care about fourth uncle's ridicule. He took out a lotus leaf and said, "Fourth uncle, I got a lotus in the Green Willow Island. It looks like a black water lotus, but it won't bloom. Can you tell me what's wrong?" Wang Shouyuan received the lotus leaf and carefully observed it for a while before probing it with his divine sense. Finally, he tore off a small piece of the lotus leaf and put it into his mouth to taste it. After pondering for a long time, Zhang Xian slowly said, "This is definitely not the black water lotus. Even though it looks similar, there are slight differences in its smell and taste. It looks a little like the inky jade serene lotus. I don't know much about medicinal properties, so I can't be sure. Let's go to your seventh uncle's place and let him determine the medicinal properties. He is an alchemist, so he has a better understanding of the medicinal properties of spirit herbs. His judgment should be more accurate than mine." The two of them arrived at Wang Shouhong's cave and took out the lotus leaf. Wang Shouhong directly tore off a small piece of the lotus leaf, put it in his mouth, chewed a few times, and swallowed it. Then, he closed his eyes and meditated, refining this small piece of lotus leaf. 15 minutes later, he stopped refining and said with certainty, "This is definitely not the black water lotus. There is a very weak power in the lotus leaf that can affect the soul. It is very likely to be the black jade lotus." Wang Daoyuan asked doubtfully, "But why isn't it blooming? That lotus is more than 20 years old, but it still only has lotus leaves." Fourth uncle Wang Shouyuan said with a smile, "If the black jade lotus doesn't bloom, then it is not strange. The black jade lotus likes pure yin qi. In places without pure yin qi, it can also grow well, but it just doesn't bloom. That lotus that doesn't bloom, does it grow in places without pure yin qi?" Wang Daoyuan replied, "Indeed, I know that the black jade lotus needs to be planted in places with pure yin qi. But I thought that without pure yin qi, it can't grow at all. That lotus is growing well, so I thought it wasn't the black jade lotus. It's my bad." After solving the doubts in his heart and confirming that these 5 lotus flowers were indeed the black jade lotus, he continued to keep them. He learned from Qi Yun's memory that the secret realm where the 10,000 corpse spiritual master passed away had extremely rich yin qi. After Foundation establishment, he could explore it and collect some yin qi. At that time, the black jade lotus could reproduce normally. With the value of the black jade lotus, occupying some spirit fields was nothing. After bidding farewell to fourth uncle and seventh uncle, he went to the executive hall again and reported to Grand Elder that he was going to Clear Glass City to purchase Tier 2 spirit items at a low price. Grand Elder did not have any objections. After all, Clear Glass City did not allow fighting, and there was no danger there. He did not take the spirit ship, but directly used the cloud mist escape to travel underwater. Casting the water dragon armor in the water driving technique automatically activated, and the cloud mist escape speed increased by nearly 20%. Coupled with the dragon power of the water dragon armor, the demonic beasts in the water automatically avoided. It only took half a day to reach Clear Glass City. After more than 10 days passed, Clear Glass City became even more lively. Some Tier 2 spirit items began to appear on the stalls, such as Tier 2 refining materials, green jade bamboo's bamboo pole, purple yang copper ore, and so on. These things were not of much use to him, so there was no need to waste spirit stones and subsidize competitors. He mainly paid attention to the stalls selling spirit herbs. After walking for a short distance, he saw a street stall selling spirit herbs. He stopped in front of the stall and used his divine senses to scan the entire stall. When he didn't find any valuable spirit herbs, he was about to continue walking. The stall owner quickly called out to him, "Wang Clan's Dao Yu, I have some good stuff here. I wonder if Dao Yu is interested?" Wang Daoyuan asked, "I don't know what good stuff it is." "Dao Yu, take it out and let me see." The stall owner took out a 1-foot-long withered grass from his storage bag. This withered grass did not have branches and only had a single stem. The leaves were fan-shaped, and after drying, they were tightly attached to the stem like dragon scales. This was the dragon tendon grass. He was collecting spirit herbs for the Foundation Establishment elixir and was only lacking this dragon tendon grass. It was a pity that this dragon tendon grass had already withered and could not be planted. He used his divine senses to scan the dragon tendon grass and found 3 mile-sized seeds in the gaps of the leaves. All 3 seeds were still alive. The seeds were caught in the gaps of the leaves and could not be seen with the naked eye. Since there were seeds, he naturally had to buy them. He took the dragon tendon grass and asked, "Dao Yu, name a price." The stall owner was also a straightforward person and said, "Fixed price, 500 spirit stones." This price was quite reasonable, so he didn't bargain. He directly took out 500 low-grade spirit stones and handed it to the stall owner. Then, he put the dragon tendon grass into the space of the spirit pearl. At this moment, a voice sounded, "Wait, I want this dragon tendon grass." "Wang Clan's boy, hand it over." Wang Daoyuan turned around and almost laughed out loud. He thought it was someone important, but it turned out to be the prodigal son of the Liang clan, Liang Zilong. He was followed by a few lackeys. Ever since he came to the Elixir Seal Pavilion to cause trouble 5 years ago, he was so scared that he almost peed his pants. He thought that he had turned over a new leaf and cultivated properly. He didn't expect that he still hadn't made any progress. This lack of improvement was not only referring to the way he interacted with others, but also to his cultivation. 5 years ago, he was at the 2nd level of Qi refinement, and now he was still at the same level. How could he still be stuck at the 2nd level of Qi refinement? Below the peak of Qi refinement, every 3rd level was a small bottleneck. He had never heard of anyone being stuck at the 2nd level of Qi refinement. In a place like Qingli Market with rich spirit Qi, even with Wang Daoyuan's aptitude, if he didn't eat pills, he could break through to the 3rd level of Qi refinement in 2 or 3 years. Chapter 127. This brat was deliberately looking for trouble, so Wang Daoyuan naturally didn't have anything nice to say to him. He sneered, "Isn't this the genius young master of the Liang clan? Aren't you seeking the Dao on Clear Sky Peak? Why are you here with a group of people with low aptitudes like us?" Young Master Liang's reputation as a prodigal son was like thunder in the clear glass market. Wang Daoyuan also shouted these words loudly. There were many loose cultivators and cultivators buying spiritual items in the surroundings, and they all knew of Liang Zilong's conduct. Instantly, the entire street was filled with a joyous atmosphere. Liang Zilong still hadn't trained his face to be thick-skinned. He was directly enraged by his words. He pointed at him and scolded, "Wang Daoyuan, you dog that doesn't know what's good for you. My Liang clan hasn't settled the score with you for stealing my Uncle 11's things. If you hand over the dragon tendon grass now, I can still help you say a few good words. Who knows, I might even spare your dog life." Wang Daoyuan was angered by this fellow. If the Liang clan wanted to settle the score with him, they should have kept it a secret beforehand. What was this fellow trying to do? Could it be that he thinks I'm timid and wants to scare me to get some benefits? Or is he purely trying to take revenge for being tricked by me 5 years ago and humiliating me in public? He was thinking. Liang Zilong thought he was really scared and became even more excited. He shouted, "Think carefully. Is a dragon tendon grass worth more than your little life?" He couldn't remain silent any longer. Otherwise, this grandson might say something unpleasant. He asked, "Where did I steal your Uncle Eleven's things?" Liang Zilong said without hesitation, "In Clear Shi village. You forced my Uncle 11 to hand over his storage bag and magic items, or else you would kill him." Some of the people around who were watching the show couldn't hold back their laughter. Clear Shi village was close to Clear Stream and was beside the Golden Water route. It was also at the edge of the mortal area, so it was quite famous. Thus, many loose cultivators knew that Clear Shi village was the Wang clan's territory. The Wang and Liang clans didn't get along. Running into the enemy clan's territory and letting you go after only asking you to leave your things behind, this was already very benevolent. The affiliated clans of the Netherworld sect could prohibit other cultivators from entering their territory. Everyone knew this rule. The members of the Liang clan had entered the territory of the Wang clan. If they were killed, they could only blame it on their bad luck. Even if they reported it to the Netherworld sect, it would be pointless. He knew that he was in the wrong, yet he still dared to come out and make a ruckus. At this moment, Wang Daoyuan knew that the Uncle 11 that Liang Zilong spoke of should be the Liang clan cultivator that he had dealt with when he returned home. He continued to fish for information and asked, "May I know why your Liang family has come to my Wang family's territory?" Liang Zilong thought that he had given in and became even more excited. He shouted, "My Uncle 11 found a pack of black cloud wolves there and wanted to kill them. You said that it's your family's spirit beast." He wanted to continue shouting, but an old cultivator wearing the Liang clan's green robe came forward and covered Liang Zilong's mouth. This person had his attendants drag Liang Zilong back. He cupped his hands towards Wang Daoyuan and said, "This is Dao Yu from the Wang family. Why do you have to bully the younger generation of my Liang family?" This person was an elder of the Liang clan. His name was Liang Jichen, and his cultivation was at the peak of qi refinement. Although the Liang clan was a Zifu clan, the chores of the clan were still handled by qi refinement elders. Apart from the clan leader, all the foundation establishment cultivators were grand elders and did not care about worldly affairs. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Don't say that. In terms of age, the young master of the Liang clan is a few years older than me. We were evenly matched. You, on the other hand, were bullying the younger generation. Senior Liang, how do you explain the matter of your Liang clan cultivators coming to my Wang family's territory and attacking my family's spirit beast? I was magnanimous and let that Dao Yu off. You still want to settle the score? Since you don't want to settle this privately, let's find Elder Zhou to judge." Liang Jichen thought for a while and said, "Whether that pack of black cloud wolves was a demon beast or a spirit beast of the Wang family is uncertain. You say that it was a spirit beast, but do you have proof? If it was a demon beast attacking Qingxi village and 11th brother helped save the mortals of the Wang family, even if he accidentally crossed the line, it would be pardonable. Fellow Daoist, you want to kill 11th brother indiscriminately. Aren't you being ungrateful?" Wang Daoyuan chuckled and took out an image recording pearl. He said, "Daoyu's ability to distort the truth is not weak. Unfortunately, I recorded the scene with an image recording pearl. As long as I hand this image recording pearl to Elder Zhou, he will be able to judge what is right and what is wrong." This image recording pearl was naturally not the one that recorded the entire process. Wang Daoyuan took out this blank image recording pearl to lure Liang Jichen to snatch it. As long as he made a move, this matter would blow up and the Netherworld sect would not be able to ignore it. Since the Liang clan did not want to settle this peacefully, he would let the Liang clan suffer a little. Liang Jichen's eyes spun and he thought for a long time, but he still did not make a move. Wang Daoyuan could only put away the image recording pearl, feeling that it was a pity. Liang Jichen was a smart person. Since Wang Daoyuan did not directly kill Wang Daoyuan, he naturally did not want to blow up the matter. He only wanted to leave something to be used against him. If not for the idiot Liang Zilong spreading the news, this matter would have passed temporarily. Even if he left something to be used against him and it would be a hidden danger in the future, it would be better when the hidden danger erupted. Now that everyone knew about it, the Liang clan was not in the right. If they fought again, no matter how the Liang clan used their connections, they could not let the Wang family suffer a great loss. At most, they could settle the matter peacefully. However, they had to pay a price for using their connections. They could not just rely on their mouths to get help. If they did not use their connections, they would have to compensate. Wasn't this helping the Wang family by the foundation establishment pill? Rather than making a move now, it was better to suppress the matter as much as possible. At the very least, they had to delay it until after the foundation establishment pill was auctioned. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. He was in a dilemma because of this idiot nephew of his. However, he could not admit defeat. Since that's the case, let's wait and see. After saying that, he flicked his sleeves and left. Wang Daoyuan did not care. He had something to use against him. As long as that guy who was ranked 11th was not dead, he could use it at any time. Even if he died, it would only be a little less destructive, but it would still be somewhat useful. The Wang family had enough spirit stones to bid for the foundation establishment pill, so they did not need to cause any more trouble. The most important thing was to safely obtain a foundation establishment pill and let Wang Shui build his foundation. Liang Zilong, this idiot, caused such a ruckus. It was a slap to the Liang clan's face, but it did no harm to the Wang family. The initiative was still in the Wang family's hands. The loose cultivators who were watching the show discussed animatedly. A loose cultivator ridiculed, "This Liang Zilong is really at odds with the Wang family. 5 years ago, he came to the Wang family to cause trouble and was played. After that, he always wanted to take revenge. The Liang clan's patriarch was afraid that he would cause trouble, so he locked him up in Clear Sky Peak. He just got out, but he already caused so much trouble for his own family. He will probably be locked up for a few more decades." Another round of laughter broke out. A loose cultivator continued, "The Liang clan are all quite cunning. How could they have produced such an idiot? He simply confessed without being pressed. The Liang clan's patriarch is really good-tempered. Why would he keep such a plaything around if he wasn't beaten to death?" Wang Daoyuan did not have the time to listen to the loose cultivators ridicule the Liang clan. The situation had changed. Although the initiative was in his hands, he still had to inform the patriarch and the various elders. This was to prevent the Liang clan from causing any more trouble and leaving his own family helpless. He no longer strolled around and directly returned to the Jade Spring Provisions store. Chapter 128. When Wang Daoyuan saw ninth great-uncle, he told him the whole story and gave him the image recording pearl. Wang Jida asked, "Daoyuan, how do you plan to solve this?" He said without hesitation, "There's no need to solve it. The Liang family is in the wrong, so we'll cover it up as much as possible. If we solve this now, we'll just kill that old guy from the Liang family at most, and the Liang family will compensate us with something. Our Wang family won't get many benefits, and the Liang family won't lose much either. It's better to put this matter aside for now, and when something happens to the Liang family, we'll expose this matter. It'll be a much better blow to the Liang family. Now, our Wang family's top priority is to build our 12th uncle's foundation. Everything else is trivial, so there's no need to add to the mess at this moment." Wang Jida nodded thoughtfully, and said, "That's reasonable. Then let's leave it at that for now. I'll tell the patriarch about this." Wang Daoyuan returned to the backyard of the Pill Seal Pavilion, in his own cave. Not long after, someone knocked on the door. He opened the door and saw that it was second uncle Wang Shouju. Wang Shouju was the son of 10th great-uncle Wang Jihe, and he perfectly inherited his characteristics. He wasn't good at cultivation or the 100 arts of cultivation, but he was steady, reliable, and never made any mistakes. He was born to be a steward. He bowed and said, "Second uncle, why are you here?" Wang Shouju smiled and said, "Father has other things to do, so I'll take over as the shopkeeper of the Pill Seal Pavilion. No matter what, you still have the title of a spirit talisman master in the Pill Seal Pavilion, so I have to come and see you as the new shopkeeper." I'll cut to the chase. I heard from ninth great uncle that your talisman crafting skills have surpassed his, so I'm here to buy some from you. Since an elder came personally, he had to give him some. He took out 10 golden knife talismans, 5 earth armor talismans, and 5 divine travel talismans and gave them to second uncle, saying, "I used up a lot when I went into the mountains, so I can only take out 20 talismans. You don't have to give me spirit stones, convert them into contribution points and give them to Dao Yin." Wang Shouju took the talismans and sighed, and said, "I still know the 100 arts of cultivation to earn money. Why didn't I learn them when I was young? Forget it, let's not talk about this. There are a lot of things waiting for me to take care of in the shop. I'll go ahead first." After second uncle left, Wang Daoyuan took out the eagle egg from the spirit pearl space. This eagle egg should be hatching soon, so he had to hurry up and recognize it as its master. He forced out a drop of blood essence and dripped it on the eggshell. He used the beast taming technique to recognize its master and established a master-servant relationship with the eagle egg. Not long after, the eagle egg began to shake, and cracks appeared on the surface of the eggshell. The baby eagle had started to peck at the eggshell, so she couldn't put it into the space of the spirit pearl. Eagles were usually wild and untamed. Even if they recognized a master, it was very likely that they would not submit to him. If he wanted it to be absolutely loyal, he had to let it see its master as soon as it came out of the egg. Wang Daoyuan quietly waited for the baby eagle to come out of its shell. More and more cracks appeared on the eggshell, and soon, a hole appeared, revealing the baby eagle's beak. It continued to expand the size of the hole. After an hour, the hole was big enough for it to crawl out of the eggshell. The baby eagle that had just come out of its shell only had sparse fluff on its body. It was still impossible to tell its breed. The first person it saw was Wang Daoyuan, and it seemed to be very close to him. Wang Daoyuan took out a small strip of rabbit meat from the space and put it in front of the baby eagle's beak. The baby eagle was not wary of him and quickly ate it. It seemed that he didn't have to worry about the baby eagle not being obedient when it grew up. He put the baby eagle back into the space, changed into the clothes of an ordinary rogue cultivator, put on a veil and bamboo hat, and left the Pill Seal Pavilion. Finally, there was someone selling Tier 2 spiritual items. He wanted to buy a few more, but he didn't expect that idiot Liang Zilong to cause trouble. Everyone on the street was staring at him. How could he buy spiritual items? After walking around for 2 hours, he did see a few Tier 2 spiritual items, but they were all refining materials or dead spiritual herbs. These things were useless to him, so he didn't even have the interest to ask. Just as he was about to return home, he saw a few stalks of dew congealing grass in a stall that no one cared about. Dew congealing grass was a low-grade Tier 2 spiritual herb, and it was one of the main ingredients for refining the essence condensing pill. The essence condensing pill was a common medicinal pill used by foundation establishment cultivators to improve their cultivation. It had the same effect as the spirit gathering pill for qi refining cultivators. Although these stalks of dew congealing grass were not well preserved and looked withered, they were still alive. The stall owner looked to be in his 40s, and his cultivation was at the peak of qi refining. He looked fierce and had a few scars on his face. No wonder other stalls were crowded with people, but his stall was deserted. The stall had all kinds of spiritual items. There were also many broken magic tools, and some even had blood stains. This person was most likely a treasure-snatching cultivator. The spiritual items were all snatched, so it was not surprising that there were many kinds. Wang Daoyuan was too lazy to care about what he did. He came to buy things, not to make friends. As long as there was something he needed, it was fine. The Netherworld sect didn't care about this person, so he couldn't care. Maybe it was because the things were all snatched, so it didn't matter how much he sold. This stall owner was quite easy to talk to. 5 stalks of dew congealing grass only cost 400 spirit stones. He didn't care about the other things on this stall. After paying the spirit stones, he turned to leave. The stall owner said, I think Dao Yu is also a straightforward person. I still have some good things here. I got them when I explored the cave of an ancient cultivator. They're definitely good things. Wang Daoyuan waved his hand and said, I'm not interested in how you got these things. Take them out and let me see. If they're really good, I'll take them even if they're dug out of a cesspool. If they're trash, even if they're related to true immortals, I won't take them. The stall owner looked up to the sky and laughed. Dao Yu is really straightforward. I like what you say. I won't be long-winded. How about you just take a look? After saying that, he took out a dozen seeds from his storage bag. These seeds were the size of soybeans and were blood red in color. However, their vitality was extremely weak. If one didn't observe carefully with divine sense, they wouldn't be able to sense the vitality at all. Wang Daoyuan was ecstatic. These seeds were exactly the same as the blood jade ginseng seeds described in the ancient books. Although they were not far from death, the probability of germination was almost zero. However, in the space of the spiritual pearl, it was hard to say. When he explored the secret realm, he obtained the peach tree sapling. The aura released by the flame at the top of the sapling was extremely beneficial to spiritual plants. Previously, the hidden cloud tea was half dead. After the green flame, the situation quickly improved and now it had begun to grow. It could be seen that the aura released by the green flame had the effect of reviving spiritual plants. If these seeds were planted near the peach tree sapling, they might be able to germinate normally. Although his heart was surging, he remained calm on the surface. He asked, what spiritual plant seeds are these? They don't seem to be of low quality. Unfortunately, they only have a trace of vitality left. It's unlikely that they'll germinate even if I plant them. The stall owner didn't say it directly. Instead, he transmitted his voice, these are blood jade ginseng seeds. Dao Yu should know the value of blood jade ginseng, right? Wang Daoyuan also transmitted his voice back, of course I know about blood jade ginseng. If it's a 500-year-old blood jade ginseng, it's impossible to get it without 20,000 spirit stones. However, these are seeds. Even if they're fresh, they can only be refined into foundation establishment pills after 500 years. What use would a rogue cultivator like me have for them? Also, these are seeds that basically don't have any hope of germinating. In my opinion, if you sell them to some confident Ling plant farmer, they'll be worth some spirit stones. The stall owner sighed and said, how would I not know? I won't hide it from Dao Yu. I've shown this to many people and none of them were willing to buy it. If Dao Yu is willing to buy it, I can sell it to you at a low price. Chapter 129. Seeing that the stall owner was in a hurry to sell, Wang Daoyuan continued to trick him. Dao Yu is an honest person. I can give you 1,000 spirit stones for these seeds. I won't hide it from you. I know a spirit plant farmer. Even though he isn't very strong, he is very confident. If I buy them from you and sell them to him, I can make a few hundred spirit stones. Forgive me for speaking bluntly, but I think Dao Yu is also doing business without cost. No matter how much he sells, he will make a profit. If you don't sell now, these seeds will be completely dead. At that time, they won't be worth anything. Hearing Wang Daoyuan say he wanted to buy, the stall owner's face was full of excitement. He said, then we'll do as Dao Yu says, deal. He couldn't help but be excited. Fresh blood jade ginseng seeds were only a few hundred spirit stones each. His seeds didn't have much hope of germinating, but he could still sell them for more than 10% of the price of fresh seeds. Wang Daoyuan took out 1,000 spirit stones and gave them to the stall owner. He put the seeds into the space of the Ling bead and turned to leave. He couldn't suppress the ecstasy in his heart and didn't have the mood to continue shopping. He immediately returned to the abode of the Dan Seal Pavilion. Entering the abode, he opened the soundproof formation he got from killing the assassin 5 years ago and laughed wantonly. There were 13 seeds in total. Even if only one seed could survive, he would have made a big profit. The blood jade ginseng would produce seeds once every 100 years. Each time, it could produce 5 or 6 seeds. Even though it needed 500 years to make the foundation building pill, the time flow in the Ling bead was 20 times faster, so it would still take 25 years. But as long as one seed germinated, he could harvest new seeds 5 years later. The second generation blood jade ginseng could be made into pills in 30 years. 30 years later, he would only be a little over 50 years old. There would be enough time for foundation building. He didn't dare to have hope for a true essence fruit. Plus, even if he found a true essence fruit, it wouldn't be of much use. Normal true essence fruits didn't have seeds. Wild true essence fruit trees could live for 10,000 years. Only when they reached the end of their lifespan would they produce true essence fruits with long seeds. Counting from when the true essence fruit tree sprouted, it would start to bear fruit in 1,000 years. Each bearing cycle was 500 years. Even if he obtained a genuine fruit with a long core and planted it in the space of the spirit bead, it would take him 75 years to use it. Moreover, the concentration of spirit chi in the space of the spirit pearl was only at the level of a low-grade level 2 spirit vein. Although it was barely enough to plant a genuine fruit tree, it would take a long time for the fruit to mature. In fact, even if another 100 years passed, the true essence fruit might not be of any use. At that time, he would have reached the limit of his lifespan, and even if he had the foundation establishment pill, he wouldn't have much hope. He could only hope that he could go to Linhai Prefecture to buy demonic beast cores in the future. With the blood jade ginseng, there was no need to find the blood essence of demonic beasts to replace it. The cost and refining difficulty would be greatly reduced. 13 seeds were planted around the peach sapling. Whether or not they could survive would depend on their luck. The peach tree sapling had been transplanted into the space for nearly 2 months. According to the time in the space, it was more than 3 years. But after more than 3 years, the peach tree sapling did not grow at all. However, the fluctuations of spiritual energy were much stronger than before, and the flames in the bud were much stronger as well. There was already a small flame outside the bud. The spiritual plants that were further away from the peach tree sapling did not change much. Only the hidden cloud tea grew more than an inch taller. The leaves were green to the point of turning black, and they were all upright. It was more energetic than when it was in the hidden cloud continent. In the following 10 days or so, Wang Daoyuan went out to search for spiritual objects every day, but he did not encounter any more precious spiritual objects. The biggest gain was that he was about to gather all the spiritual herbs needed to refine the condensing origin pill. In addition, he also bought a red-scaled pine sapling. The red-scaled pine was a low-grade or mid-grade level 2 fire attribute spirit wood. The pine cone could increase the cultivation of fire attribute cultivators. To Wang Daoyuan, the most important use of the red-scaled pine was that it could be used to burn level 2 spirit charcoal. The spirit charcoal burned by the red-scaled pine was in the upper middle of the same level of spirit charcoal. Its stability was very good. Whether it was refining level 2 pills or level 2 magic tools, it was enough. The day of the auction for the foundation establishment pill quickly arrived. The patriarch and the 12th uncle also came to Clear Glass City a few days ago. Wang Daoyuan followed the patriarch and the 12th uncle to the auction house to bid for the foundation establishment pill. The auction location was in the middle of Clear Glass City's old square. Because the left square and the right square belonged to the Netherworld sect, rogue cultivators rarely went there. A place without customers was not worth much. Therefore, the important business of the Netherworld sect in Clear Glass City was in the old square. The 3 of them came to the front of the auction house. The patriarch showed the invitation card, and a young woman led the three of them into the auction house. The auction house's hall was about 30 feet long and 18 feet wide. Rogue cultivators without invitations sat in the hall on the first floor, and those with invitations sat in the private rooms on the second floor. There were dozens of private rooms on the second floor. The private rooms directly facing the auction stage belonged to several Zifu family clans. The Wang family's private room was on the side. It was not good, but not too bad. There were 5 Zifu family clans in Clear Glass City. Apart from the Yang family and the Liang family, the other 3 families were in the lower reaches of Clear Glass River, next to Wanchuan River. The main task of these 3 families was to guard against the Thousand Spirit sect, so they did not participate in the Battle of Gold Goose City. This time, only those who killed enemy Foundation establishment cultivators in the Battle of Gold Goose City or those whose own Foundation establishment cultivators died were eligible to bid for the Foundation establishment pill. Therefore, only the Liang family and the Yang family participated in the auction. The other families did not have the financial resources to compete with the Zifu family, so these 2 families reserved 2 Foundation establishment pills. After the 3 people of the Wang family entered the auction house, rogue cultivators and people from other families also entered one after another. After half an hour, the seats for rogue cultivators below were full. Elder Zhou went to the auction stage and announced the start of the auction, then retreated behind the scenes. Then, an old Foundation establishment cultivator went to the auction stage. 10 young and beautiful female cultivators carried trays and walked to the side of the auction stage. Each of the trays had a jade box on it. After the auctioneer introduced the Foundation establishment pill, the first jade box was placed on the auction stage. The auctioneer opened the jade box, and a blood-red pill the size of a longan was revealed. Wang Daoyuan was quite interested. This was the first time he had seen a Foundation establishment pill. Then, the bidding began. The head of the Liang family, Liang Jiaxing, directly bid 80,000 spirit stones. No one among the rogue cultivators dared to speak. The head of the Yang family, Yang Ziyuan, bid 90,000 spirit stones. Only these 2 families bid for the first Foundation establishment pill. In the end, it was bought by the Liang family at a high price of 140,000 spirit stones. The Liang family had always wanted to suppress the Yang family, so they did not hesitate to pay a higher price. The second Foundation establishment pill was competed for by the Yang family and several small families close to the Liang family. The Liang family had already won 1 pill, so there was no discount for the second pill. Therefore, the Liang family did not participate in the bidding. If the Yang family did not want the pill after bidding a high price, it would be a great loss to buy a Foundation establishment pill with 100,000 spirit stones. The second pill was finally bought by the Yang family at a price of 130,000 spirit stones. There were many families bidding for the third Foundation establishment pill. A rogue cultivator first bid 60,000 spirit stones, followed by Wang Jian's bid of 70,000 spirit stones. Then, several families who had a good relationship with the Liang family began to bid, and each time, they were sure to suppress the Wang family's price. Soon, the price reached 120,000 spirit stones. Wang Jian said calmly, 125,000. The head of the Huang family, Huang Wanzhong, bid 130,000. The Huang family had a Foundation establishment cultivator in the Netherworld sect who became Liang Liang's disciple. The Huang family could be considered the Liang family's hardcore lackey. When Wang Jian stopped bidding, Huang Wanzhong became anxious and shouted, Wang Jian, why aren't you bidding? Chapter 130. This time, the Huang clan had killed a crippled early-stage foundation building Yang Palace cultivator, so they could only buy the foundation building pill with a 10% discount. 130,000 spirit stones, even with a 10% discount, was still 117,000 spirit stones, which was enough for the Huang clan to go bankrupt. Wang Jian picked up his teacup, took a sip, and answered lightly, I can't afford it. Immediately, the audience burst into laughter. Huang Wanzhong was so angry that he cursed loudly. At this time, Elder Zhou shouted, "Silence!" The audience quieted down. The auctioneer bid 3 times, and the hammer fell. A young man's voice came from the Huang clan's box. "Clan head, what's wrong? Wake up!" Elder Zhou just shouted, so the people in the field didn't act too presumptuously. They only laughed for about 10 breaths of time before they stopped. The Huang clan didn't dare to not want this foundation building pill. If they did, they would be waiting for the Netherworld sect to confiscate their property. They could only sell everything they had. Even if they sold the clan's spirit veins, they had to gather enough spirit stones. The bidding for the 4th foundation building pill began. Wang Jian directly bid 100,000. Another foundation building clan head, who was dependent on the Liang clan, bid 105,000. Wang Jian calmly said 120,000. The audience fell into a strange silence. 120,000 spirit stones, even with a discount, was the limit that the majority of foundation building clans could afford. Several clans dependent on the Liang clan also didn't dare to bid again. After all, the Huang clan had just been cheated, and no one wanted to be the next. The auctioneer bid 3 times, and the foundation building pill was sold. With a 50% discount, the Huang clan only needed to pay 60,000 spirit stones. The 5th foundation building pill was bought by an old clan for 130,000 spirit stones. For the 6th foundation building pill, the Grey Cloud Peaks Meng clan began to bid, but after bidding 90,000 spirit stones, they didn't dare to bid again. The Meng clan could get a 30% discount when bidding for foundation building pills, so they only dared to bid 90,000 spirit stones. In other words, the Meng clan only had 60,000 spirit stones. The Meng clan's box was next to the Wang clan's. Wang Jian transmitted his voice to the Meng clan's grand elder, Meng Qingshan. "Dao Yu Meng, my Wang clan can lend you 20,000 spirit stones." Meng Qingshan excitedly replied, "Thank you Dao Yu Wang. I can't repay your kindness. But if you have any orders in the future, the Meng clan will do our best." Wang Jian said a few more polite words and stopped transmitting his voice. In the past year, the Wang clan had done several business deals with the Oasis and earned a lot of spirit stones. Wang Jian had brought over 80,000 spirit stones. The 7th foundation establishment pill was bought by the Meng clan for 120,000 spirit stones. Even with a 30% discount, it was still 84,000 spirit stones. The Meng clan could be considered to have gone bankrupt. They were only short of selling the spirit vein. After winning the foundation establishment pill, the great elder of the Meng family cried tears of joy. He said, "The heavens didn't destroy my Meng family. After I die, I will have the face to see my ancestors." Wang Jian handed over 20,000 spirit stones to Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan took the spirit stones to the Meng family's private room next door and handed the spirit stones to Meng Chongqing. After exchanging a few pleasantries with Meng Chongqing, he returned to his private room. The Liang clan patriarch snorted coldly. The auction continued. The 8th foundation establishment pill was sold for 125,000 spirit stones, and the 9th foundation establishment pill was sold for 130,000 spirit stones. The last foundation establishment pill was bought by a loose cultivator for 135,000 spirit stones. Afterward, 10 female cultivators carried jade boxes. Under the protection of a foundation establishment cultivator, they walked towards the cultivator who won the foundation establishment pill. A female cultivator and a foundation establishment cultivator also came to the Wang family's private room. Wang Jian took the jade boxes and opened them. The foundation establishment pill inside was emitting rich spirit qi. There was no problem with the pill. Wang Jian nodded and took out 60,000 spirit stones. The foundation establishment cultivator took the spirit stones and left the private room with the female cultivator. The 3 people from the Wang family stood up and prepared to leave the auction house. Although there were still some items to be auctioned later, they weren't worth much compared to the Foundation Establishment Pill. Since they got the Foundation Establishment Pill, it was better to let Wang Shui enter the Foundation Establishment realm first. At this time, a dispute broke out in the hall below. The rogue cultivator in the hall who won the last Foundation Establishment Pill didn't have any spirit stones to pay the bill after receiving the Foundation Establishment Pill. Instead, he directly wanted to leave. How could the Foundation Establishment cultivator who was escorting the Foundation Establishment Pill let him do as he wished? The two of them started fighting. This loose cultivator was very strong. In just a few moves, he knocked down the Foundation Establishment cultivator of the auction house. Elder Zhou immediately attacked, but there were still many cultivators in the auction house. He didn't dare to use any spells and could only use his flying sword to fight with the loose cultivator. This loose cultivator was very strong. Although he was only at the Foundation Establishment realm, Elder Zhou, a Zifu realm cultivator, couldn't take him down in a short time. Seeing this, the people in the hall all ran out. The people from the Wang family and the Meng family also ran to the Yang family's private room. They met up with the Yang family cultivators and left the auction house together. The people in the auction house were almost all gone. Elder Zhou could also act freely. He took out a black flag and waved it in his hand. Several black chi flew out from the black flag and rushed towards the loose cultivator. The loose cultivator's spirit chi surged and condensed into a fire phoenix, which rushed towards the black chi. The fire phoenix and the black chi collided. The black chi let out a mournful cry and then disappeared. The fire phoenix also let out a few mournful cries and turned into countless fireballs, flying in all directions. Elder Zhou wanted to continue attacking, but the loose cultivator seemed to have turned into a meteor and flew out of the auction house. With Wang Daoyuan's eyesight, he could only see a streak of fire streaking across his eyes. Elder Zhou angrily said, "Phoenix flight, flying star escape, the Heangshi family's secret technique. Shizhenbang, it was you who didn't know the difference between life and death." He wanted to continue chasing, but many places in the auction house were set ablaze by the fire phoenix's fireballs. These flames weren't ordinary flames. The auction house's fire avoidance formation couldn't withstand the might of these flames. He had no choice but to put out the fire first. Otherwise, the entire auction house would be burned down. Half an hour later, all the flames in the auction house were extinguished. The entire auction house suffered heavy losses. Elder Zhou roared, "Shizhenbang, if I don't kill you, I'm not human." Wang Daoyuan felt a bit strange. Green Willow Province shouldn't be unable to afford a Foundation Establishment Pill. Was there a need for the Grand Commander to risk his life to steal a Foundation Establishment Pill? He even offended the Netherworld sect. The Wang, Yang, and Meng families came to a shop of the Yang family and prepared to build their foundation here. Clear glass market didn't allow fighting, so there was still some protection here. Once they took the Foundation Establishment Pill out, there was a 100% chance that someone would intercept and kill them. The shop's defensive formation had already been activated. The Yang family's ancestor, Yang Yong, was also in the shop. Seeing everyone come in, he smiled, "Little friend of the Wang and Meng families, build your foundation here. This old man will guard you." Wang Jian and Meng Qingshan expressed their gratitude to Yang Yong. In order not to interfere with each other, the two quasi-foundation establishment cultivators could only do it one by one. The Wang family lent the Meng family 20,000 spirit stones. The Meng family was embarrassed to compete with the Wang family, so they let Wang Shui build his foundation first. Wang Jian didn't refuse and gave the Foundation Establishment Pill to Wang Shui. Wang Shui had been at the peak of qi refinement for more than 10 years. He had already made the necessary preparations. He directly swallowed the Foundation Establishment Pill and began to break through in a cave in the backyard of the Yang family's shop. Everyone left the cave and guarded nearby. 2 hours later, the surrounding spirit qi began to surge into the cave, triggering a spirit qi wind. The wind grew stronger and stronger. Finally, it formed a spirit chi vortex with a diameter of more than 10 feet above the cave, rolling up the dust in the sky. Half an hour later, the spirit chi vortex gradually shrank and finally disappeared. Everyone's face showed joy. They had succeeded in building their foundation. Chapter 131. After another quarter of an hour, the door opened and Wang Shui walked out. Although he still had a sloppy appearance, his eyes were bright and his whole person's spirit was completely different from before. He bowed to the Yang family ancestor to express his gratitude. Then, a middle-aged cultivator from the Meng family who came with Meng Qingshan walked into the cave. This middle-aged cultivator was called Meng Changfeng, the son of the Meng family's late patriarch. 2 hours later, a spirit chi vortex appeared above the cave again, but it was much smaller than the one caused by Wang Shui's breakthrough. The spirit chi vortex gradually shrank and finally disappeared, which was a sign of a successful foundation establishment. The worry on Meng Qingshan's face finally faded and was replaced by a face full of joy. With a new foundation establishment cultivator, as long as there were no accidents, the Meng family could be stable for nearly 200 years. Although the Yang family also won a foundation establishment pill, the ownership of the foundation establishment pill had not been determined, so no one reached foundation establishment. The Wang and Meng families bid farewell to the Yang family ancestor and then returned home. Wang Jian and Wang Shui decided to return to Jade Spring Peak to celebrate. Wang Daoyuan did not return, but stayed in Clear Glass Market. Next, he planned to return to Green Willow Province. Although there were many dangers and could be schemed against at any time, the probability of obtaining valuable spirit items was higher and it was easier to earn spirit stones. However, after Shi Zhenbang made such a scene at the auction house, whether the Netherworld sect would do something to Green Willow Province or not was still uncertain. If he went to Green Willow Province now, he might be involved in the battle between the two sides, which was really not a wise move. He planned to stay in Clear Glass Market for a while and wait for the storm of snatching the foundation establishment pill to pass before going to Green Willow Province. For the next period of time, he practiced alchemy in the cave in the backyard of the Pill Seal Pavilion. After practicing for more than a month in Green Willow Province, he could already refine most of the first-tier middle-grade pills, and it was time to try refining the essence-gathering pill. Although the essence-gathering pill was the simplest of the first-tier high-grade pills, it was still much more difficult to refine than the first-tier middle-grade pills. Refining the essence-gathering pill required 10 kinds of spirit herbs, more than all the first-tier middle-grade pills. There were many kinds of spirit herbs, so it was easier to fuse them together. However, with Wang Daoyuan's divine sense cultivation, it wasn't too difficult for him to control the fusion of 10 spiritual herbs. In addition to the experience accumulated by the split soul, after failing 6 times, it was able to successfully concoct 2 spirit-gathering pills on its 7th try. Only in the process of increasing the success rate of the spirit-gathering pill did he realize the difficulty of refining a first-tier high-grade pill. After spending a month, he barely managed to raise the success rate to 3.5%. At this moment, his level had already surpassed that of his clone, Liang Zixing. The experience provided by his clone had already been fully digested. In the future, he could only rely on himself to improve his alchemy skills. 1 month had passed in the outside world, while 1 year and 8 months had passed in the space of the spirit pearl. The flames in the top buds of the peach tree played a huge role. Of the 13 seeds planted, 7 had successfully germinated. Although 6 of the seeds were completely destroyed, the result was still far better than he had expected. 25 years later, there would be 7 blood jade ginseng, which would be enough to refine 7 furnaces of foundation establishment pills. Based on the 30% success rate, that would be 21 foundation establishment pills. Even if he ate them one by one, it would be enough for him to build his foundation. Of course, he would also need 7 demon cores. That was the most important part. In this month, the situation in the Green Willow State could be said to have changed drastically. The boss of the Green Willow State, Shi Zhenbang, had stolen a foundation establishment pill under the eyes of the underworld sect's Purple Mansion elder, set the auction house on fire, and escaped unscathed. As one of the 3 overlords of Zhao, how could the underworld sect endure this? Although the 3 sects were in a tense situation, there was no war at the moment. It was very easy for the underworld sect to mobilize a few people. After Elder Zhou reported the situation, the underworld sect sent 3 Purple Mansion Realm cultivators and 30 Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators to attack the Green Willow State. Because the Green Willow State was within the Sky Beheading Mountain range, there were many demon beasts. Chi Refinement Realm cultivators would basically be killed if they went in. Therefore, they didn't send any Chi Refinement Realm cultivators. Even so, this kind of strength was enough to massacre the Green Willow State. However, the battle didn't progress smoothly. The defensive formation of the Green Willow State was quite good, and there were many Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators guarding it. The underworld sect besieged the formation for 3 days, but they still couldn't break it. The energy source of the Green Willow State's defensive formation came from the spirit vein. If they didn't have enough strength, they couldn't directly break the formation. The 3 Purple Mansion Realm cultivators weren't strong enough to break the formation, so they asked for help from the sect. The underworld sect sent a 3rd-tier formation master to help. However, the Purple Mansion Realm cultivators had been attacking the formation for 3 days, creating too much of a commotion and angering the demon beasts in the Sky Beheading Mountain range. Just as they were waiting for the formation master to arrive, they were attacked by several 3rd-tier demon beasts and over 100 2nd-tier demon beasts. The underworld sect suffered heavy losses. They lost more than half of their Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators, and the rest were all injured. Although the 3 Purple Mansion Realm elders didn't die, they were all heavily injured. This result caused the underworld sect to lose face. As one of the 3 major powers of Zhao, they couldn't take down a force without Purple Mansion Realm cultivators and suffered heavy losses. It wasn't worth it to continue fighting. The Green Willow State wasn't a real threat to the underworld sect's rule. It was just a little disgusting. But if they wanted to completely take over the Green Willow State, they had to be prepared to pay a huge price. To the 3 major sects, Golden Core cultivators were a strategic deterrent and couldn't be easily mobilized. Purple Mansion Realm cultivators were a high-end force. When fighting between sects, Purple Mansion Realm cultivators were the main force and Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators were the backbone. Most of the Purple Mansion Realm cultivators of the Underworld sect were stationed at the border with the other 2 sects, while the rest were stationed at important properties. They didn't dare to mobilize a large number of Purple Mansion Realm cultivators to attack the Green Willow State. Currently, it seemed that a small number of Purple Mansion Realm cultivators wouldn't be of much use and might even die there. Golden Core cultivators didn't dare to rashly go either. Not to mention the pressure from the 2 sects, if Golden Core cultivators entered the Sky Beheading Mountain range, it would be fine if they didn't use force. Once they used force and angered a 4th-tier demon beast, it wouldn't be a small matter. It might cause a beast tide. At that time, the Underworld sect would be attacked from 3 sides by the 2 sects and the beast tide. They would definitely die. Last time, they had been tricked by the 2 sects and had suffered heavy losses. They couldn't afford any more casualties. Furthermore, even if they took over the Green Willow State, they wouldn't have much to gain. They would still have to send people to defend against the demon beasts and expend their own strength. If they couldn't fight, they could only use conciliation. Both sides discussed and decided that the Green Willow State would lower their stance and let the Underworld sect have some face. Everyone was pursuing a higher cultivation. It wasn't good to fight and kill. In the end, both sides reached an agreement. The Green Willow State apologized to the Underworld sect and compensated them with a total of 100,000 spirit stones. As for the Underworld sect, they said that the Green Willow State knew their mistakes and could change. They would let this matter go. This was just what was on the surface. Outsiders didn't know what was going on behind the scenes. Chapter 132. After that, the Underworld sect destroyed 2 families in Clear Glass County on the grounds that they had colluded with the Myriad Spirit sect. However, Wang Daoyuan had stayed in Green Willow Province for half a year and knew of these 2 families. They had shops in Green Willow Province and business was very good. These 2 families had become the chickens that the Underworld sect had killed to warn the monkeys. Wang Daoyuan thought that he was lucky. Fortunately, his business with the Underworld sect had always been done in secret. Although the conflict between Green Willow Province and the Underworld sect had been resolved peacefully, it was hard to say if there would be any more changes. He was not in a hurry to go to Green Willow Province. Refining pills, making talismans, and cultivating in Clear Glass City was also good. It was just that he could not obtain valuable spirit items. 3 months later, the Underworld sect and Cruel Sun Palace had some small conflicts. The 2 sects had a series of small conflicts over a high-value spirit mine at the border. Both sects were nervous. This way, Wang Daoyuan could go to Green Willow Province without worry. With the border tense, what the Underworld sect hoped for the most was stability in the rear. They definitely would not fall out with Green Willow Province at this time. He packed up his belongings and put them into the space of the Spirit Pearl. He also left a storage bag on his body. There were a few high-grade Grade 1 talismans, a dozen pills, dozens of spirit stones, and a sharp golden sword. If he encountered a strong enemy outside, he could hand over the storage bag to confuse them. In these 3 months, he had not been idle. Although his alchemy and talisman skills had not improved much, he had accumulated a lot of goods. There were more than 1,000 pills of various types and more than 200 low-grade Grade 2 talismans. After making sufficient preparations, Wang Daoyuan used the water dragon armor and cloud mist escape to go upstream. 6 hours later, he was dozens of miles away from Mirror Iron Mountain. He had nothing to do at Mirror Iron Mountain, so he did not stay and went directly to Green Willow Province. At this time, there was a large clump of water grass in front of him. It was normal for there to be water grass in the river, so he did not care too much. When he passed by the water plants, a long sword pierced out from them. Wang Daoyuan activated the cloud mist escape with all his might, dodging upwards. This sword was extremely fast. Even though the cloud mist escape was known for its speed, he still couldn't completely dodge it. However, the sword that was originally aimed at his heart had pierced his arm instead. His silk armor was like a vest, and there was no protection on his arms. Fortunately, the water dragon armor had blocked most of the force, and the sword had only scratched his skin. However, bleeding in the water was not a simple matter. The smell of blood would attract demonic beasts. He immediately distanced himself more than 30 meters away from the clump of aquatic plants. His doppelganger was telepathically connected to him and had already prepared the medicine in a short while. He took out some medicine from his space, applied it to his wound, and wrapped a cloth around his arm. In order to prevent the sword from being poisoned, he even ate 2 antidote pills. The series of measures were completed within a period of 5 breaths. Logically speaking, this period of time was enough for the enemy to launch another attack, but the person hiding in the aquatic plants did not attack again. After Wang Daoyuan treated his injuries, he asked, "Since you've already made your move, what's the point of hiding? Do you think I'll spare your dog life if you don't make another move?" An emotionless voice came from the aquatic plants. "You reacted very quickly. At this distance, I can't hurt you, so what's the point of attacking? You didn't attack until you saw an opening. Are you an assassin?" He probed. Blood Shadow? That year, when he caught the Qing River carp, the assassin who came to kill him was like this. His strength was clearly far above him, but he still waited for an opportunity to kill him in one strike. In the assassin's storage bag, there was a token with the words, Blood Shadow, written on it. Now that he mentioned Blood Shadow, he could trick this assassin. The voice in the aquatic plants was no longer emotionless, but rather filled with disbelief. "Since you know about Blood Shadow, then I can't let you live." The assassin drilled out of the aquatic plants and pounced directly at Wang Daoyuan. However, this assassin's escape technique was very strange. He would appear and disappear at times. If it were not for the fact that they were underwater and any movement would cause ripples in the water, he would probably have been ambushed. Wang Daoyuan was wearing the water dragon armor and activated the water control technique automatically. He was very sensitive to all disturbances in the water. Every time the assassin came close, he could sense it in advance and use the mist escape to dodge the attack. While he was dodging, he was also observing the secret of the assassin's escape technique. The two of them were fighting underwater, so the water was not particularly dark. However, the sunlight was refracted by the ripples on the water, so the distribution of light and darkness in the water was not uniform. Some places were very bright, while other places were shadowed. This assassin's figure appeared in the bright places and disappeared in the dark places. He guessed that this assassin's escape technique could only be activated by using shadows. He had never seen such an escape technique before, so he did not know how to break it. After a while, he slapped his head and thought to himself, with a hammer in hand, everything looks like a nail. I always want to use a hammer to solve all problems. Usually, when I fight with opponents who are stronger than me, I can only rely on my wits. Now that a battle of wits is useless, I don't know how to fight anymore. Assassins are good at ambushes, but not good at fighting head-on. The situation now is that I'm strong and the enemy is weak. After cultivating the water dragon technique, the water is my home ground. At this time, what's the point of playing a battle of wits? First, I'll be reckless. If I can't kill the opponent, I'll be reckless again. He stuck 3 low-grade level 2 earth armor talismans on his body. The water dragon armor was good at defending against spells, but not sharp weapons. This assassin could barely pierce through the water dragon armor with his sword, so it was impossible for him to break through 3 layers of the earth armor technique quickly. Then, he turned the water dragon armor into a water dragon nearly 6 meters long. Using the water dragon technique in the water was like a flood dragon entering the sea. The water dragon danced, rolling up waves of undercurrents. The assassin could not control his direction in the water and could only go with the flow. Although Wang Daoyuan could not see where the assassin was, he could roughly sense his position. When he found that the assassin could not control his body, he directly summoned the soul-extinguishing bell. When the bell rang, the water nearby seemed to boil. Dense ripples, with Wang Daoyuan as the center, spread out in all directions. The lethality of a sound wave attack in the water was far greater than on the ground. A moment later, the assassin's figure appeared, already unconscious. Wang Daoyuan stuck a soul-subduing talisman on the assassin's forehead and stored it in the space of his spiritual pearl. When the assassin heard him mention Blood Shadow, he was especially excited. He was very likely one of Blood Shadow's people. He had never heard of a faction called Blood Shadow in the state of Zhao. It seemed that Blood Shadow was not a faction on the surface. He was targeted by an assassin organization, so he had to have some understanding of this organization. Otherwise, he would not even know how he died. As for how to understand Blood Shadow, there was a ready-made channel in front of him. He brought the assassin back to the spiritual spring cave and used the doppelganger soul-nurturing technique on the assassin. He also took the opportunity to recuperate for a few days. After 12th Uncle Wang Shui succeeded in building his foundation, he would, as usual, invite a few families with whom he was on good terms to celebrate. Just the preparation alone took a lot of time, and he also had to send people to other families with whom he was on good terms. For the time being, 12th Uncle should not be able to free himself, and the spiritual spring cave's specific location could not be casually revealed to others. Now that the spiritual spring cave was most likely empty, he could refine a doppelganger here. Chapter 133. Wang Daoyuan followed the water to the entrance of the spirit spring cavern and opened the door. As expected, there was no one inside. He first cut out a split soul and nurtured it for a few days. Then, he used the soul-splitting blade to destroy the assassin's intelligence and consciousness. The split soul then entered the assassin's consciousness. After the split soul took complete control of the clone, he began to pry into the clone's memories. This assassin was originally an ordinary rogue cultivator. By chance, he joined Blood Shadow and was codenamed Shadow Fox. His shadow escape was superb. He was cautious and good at hiding. He always killed with one blow. From his memories, he understood that Blood Shadow was an underground force that spread far and wide. It was not limited to the state of Zhao. Their main business was to kill people for money. Shadow Fox belonged to Blood Shadow's Qingli County branch. He was only a peripheral member and did not know where the branch was. Every time he accepted a job, he would contact them through a token. After completing a job, someone would send him a reward. Therefore, Shadow Fox did not know who wanted to kill Wang Daoyuan. Shadow Fox did not know who the employer was, but he knew that the Liang family was the most suspicious. He had just slapped the Liang family in the face. With the Liang family's petty character, it was normal for them to take revenge. Blood Shadow only recognized the token and not the person. Once a peripheral member was killed, as long as someone recognized the token as the owner, they could replace the original assassin. Wang Daoyuan did not need the token to recognize him as the owner. After all, the assassin was refined into a clone, but he was still alive. Blood Shadow's rule was that after an assassin accepted a job, no one else could accept the job until the person who accepted the job died. The longest an assassin could delay a job was 20 years. Of course, there were also urgent jobs. The mission to assassinate Wang Daoyuan was not urgent. If he kept this assassin, Blood Shadow would not send anyone else over for 20 years. This could guarantee his own safety. This assassin didn't practice any high-level spells. The only thing he could use was this shadow meld. Shadow escape was useful for sneak attacks. It was not as reliable as cloud escape in a direct confrontation. Shadow Fox only had a few thousand spirit stones, some pills, and a pitch-black sword in his storage bag. The sword was called the Serene Water Sword. It was a water element first-level upper-grade magic tool. It could avoid detection by divine sense. This was very similar to the dagger used by the assassin when he caught the Qing River carp. However, he didn't like to use a dagger. He could only use it for sneak attacks. He would be at a disadvantage if he faced the enemy head-on. On the other hand, this Serene Water Sword was not bad. It could be used for sneak attacks and could also be used to fight head-on. After learning from Minghu that there would be no more assassinations for the time being, he was relieved. He left the cave abode and used a disguise technique to change his appearance. He used the cloud mist escape all the way and quickly arrived at the 100 Rivers Lake. When he arrived at a ferry, the scene in front of him stunned him. He had entered and exited the 100 Rivers Lake a few times, and there were at most a few dozen people waiting at the dock. At this time, there were at least 400 to 500 people waiting for the spirit ship at the docks. This was 10 times the usual number. He walked forward and asked a middle-aged cultivator waiting for a boat, "Dao Yu, what's going on today? Why are there so many more people taking boats than usual?" The middle-aged cultivator asked curiously, "Dao Yu is from Green Willow Province?" "You don't know, but this time, Green Willow Province's senior Shur stole the Netherworld Sex Foundation establishment pill and was able to escape unscathed. The Netherworld sect sent people to fight, but they returned without success. We all came here because of the reputation. Outside, people don't like us and we are suppressed by various clans. We have no place to fish for resources, so we might as well come to Green Willow Province. Although life here isn't easy, if you are lucky, it is possible to become rich overnight. Dao Yu is a local. Can you tell me about Green Willow Province's situation?" Wang Daoyuan didn't care. He was waiting for a boat and had nothing to do. He could chat with others and learn more about Green Willow Province's situation. When the other rogue cultivators heard someone talking about Green Willow Province, they also gathered around to listen. He now understood why Shi Jinbang had stolen the Foundation establishment pill. He wanted to make a name for himself, expand his influence, attract rogue cultivators, and further expand his strength. Then he thought about how the Green Willow Province's upper echelons took the initiative to do business with the Wang clan, buying large amounts of pills and talismans. The timing was good. Thousand Spirit Sect and Cruel Sun Palace worked together to trap the Netherworld Sect. The Netherworld Sect had suffered heavy losses and needed to rest. If Green Willow Province did something now, the Netherworld Sect would not overreact for the sake of stability. Not to mention, now that the Netherworld Sect and Cruel Sun Palace had a conflict at the border, they had no time to deal with Green Willow Province. Not long after, 5 spirit boats arrived and docked at the pier. It seemed that the Green Willow Province's upper echelons were prepared. They even knew to add ferries. It was like the spring festival in his previous life. A single spirit ship could still fit more than 100 people. 5 spirit ships could transport 400 to 500 people without a problem. After boarding, the 5 boats left the pier and sailed towards Green Willow Province. The beasts in the lake were still rampant. Rank 1 high-grade beasts attacked the spirit boats from time to time. The foreign rogue cultivators mostly lived in Qingli Province. In Qingli River, the beasts had been taken care of. Few dared to attack the spirit boats. Most of the rogue cultivators had never seen such a scene. Every time a beast attacked, the new rogue cultivators would cry out. When they felt the spirit ship shake, some of them would even cry and shout. Every time this happened, it would attract the mockery of the old foxes of Green Willow Province. Wang Daoyuan had gone back and forth on the lake many times. This situation was common. A 5 zhang long rank 1 high-grade python raised its head and bit towards the middle of the spirit boat. Wang Daoyuan was sitting there. The new rogue cultivators around were so scared that they squeezed to the side. He slowly took out the sharp metal sword from his storage bag. When the python's head came close, he waved the sword and chopped at the python's head. The sharp metal sword's specialty was its sharpness. Adding on Wang Daoyuan's strong ling power, the sword chopped off the python's head. He took out a spirit beast bag and put the python's head and body inside. This python was really heavy. Normal storage bags could not hold it. The rogue cultivators who were running away in fear looked at him with reverence. A rogue cultivator who looked to be 40 years old laughed, "This Dao Yu is so young. I thought you were a newcomer to Green Willow Province. I thought this python would fall into my hands. Dao Yu still needs me to save his life. I did not expect you to be an old hand. Your skills are much stronger than mine. Sorry for the disrespect." Wang Daoyuan laughed, "Not at all. I have not been in Green Willow Province for long. Since I started cultivating, the beasts I killed the most were pythons. There is no other reason. I am familiar with them." He was not joking. Since he left the mountain, the beasts he killed the most were pythons, followed by crocodiles. Snakes are called small dragons, and crocodiles are also called tua, intua, second tone, dragons. If he opened the Purple Mansion in the future, he might be able to get the title of Dragon Slayer Sanren. Although there were many demonic beasts along the way, Wang Daoyuan didn't have any new gains because there were too many people trying to snatch them. Not long after, the spirit ship docked at a small ferry in the northeast of Green Willow Province. Everyone disembarked. In a few months, the scenery of Green Willow Province did not change much. Only the people changed. In the past, the number of people near the large willow tree did not exceed 1,000. But now, there were more than 5,000 people near the large willow tree. It was almost the total number of cultivators in the 100 River Lake. The total number of cultivators in the 100 River Lake area was not far from 20,000. It had to be said that Shizhenbang provoked the underworld sect. It was an extremely successful advertisement. It attracted many rogue cultivators. Wang Daoyuan did not care about what was going on in Green Willow Province. He came to Green Willow Province to buy all kinds of spirit herbs. Even if Green Willow Province wanted to wrestle with the underworld sect, they could not do it now. This was only the beginning of their preparations. They had to pick out those who were worth nurturing from these rogue cultivators who had come because of their fame. They also had to nurture them into a force loyal to the upper echelons of Green Willow Province. Who knew how many years it would take? If the underworld sect was not crippled, they would not dare to start a war with them. Green Willow Province did not rely on their own ability to make the underworld sect submit. They relied on the geographical advantage of the 100 River Lake. They used the demon beasts in the heaven/mountain range to scare off the underworld sect. If they went out to fight, with Green Willow Province's meager strength, 1 or 2 Violet Palace realm clans and dozens of Foundation Establishment realm clans would be able to easily defeat them. The underworld sect did not dare attack and Green Willow Province did not dare attack. Therefore, for a long time in the future, Green Willow Province would not have any major conflicts with the underworld sect. Wang Daoyuan would not be in any danger if he continued to stay. Chapter 134. In the blink of an eye, 18 years had passed. Wang Daoyuan was already 39 years old, and his cultivation had reached the peak of qi refinement. His 5 elements primordial chaos technique had also reached the phenomenal success stage, and he could already try to build his foundation. However, without the foundation establishment pill, the success rate was still not high. Although failing to build his foundation after mastering the primordial chaos technique might not necessarily endanger his life, it was inevitable that his meridians and dantian would be injured. It would be a waste of time to recover from his injuries. He was already a second-stage mid-grade alchemist. With a few more years of hard work, he would be able to become a second-stage high-grade alchemist. It would be safer to buy demonic beast cores at a high price and try again after refining the foundation establishment pill. With the improvement of his cultivation, his combat strength had also undergone earth-shattering changes. The ultimate move of the soul-chasing whip technique was finally able to use all 5 elements at once after he mastered the technique. The water dragon condensed by the water dragon technique was close to 100 feet, and the golden rock phantom condensed by the golden rock fighting heaven technique had a wingspan of more than 50 feet. The eagle egg that he bought back then had hatched an adult eagle. The adult eagle was covered in dark feathers, and only the sword feathers on its wings were golden. This eagle was a second-stage mid-grade demonic beast, the golden-winged goshawk. Its wingspan was less than 10 feet, which was especially small compared to other demonic beasts of the same level that had a wingspan of 50 to 60 feet. The golden-winged goshawk was known for its speed and agility. In terms of speed, the second-stage golden-winged goshawk was not much inferior to the second-stage high-grade demonic beasts. Its agility was one of the best among the second-stage demonic beasts. Its innate spell was called Wing Slash, and it used a pair of golden wings to cut its opponent while flying at high speed. Wang Daoyuan also named it Golden Wings after the species name of the golden-winged goshawk. Through observing the battle between Golden Wings and Yin-Yi, Wang Daoyuan's Golden Rock Phantom's melee ability had improved by quite a bit. The cloud mist condensed by the cloud mist escape was close to 300 feet in diameter, and its speed was about 70% of a first-stage foundation establishment cultivator's sword kinesis flight speed, and it was even faster underwater. Over the years, he had entered the mountains to search for spiritual objects. Although the true essence fruit tree was rarely seen in thousands of years, it was still very likely that it existed in some mystic realms. However, his luck was not very good, and he had not found any mystic realms for more than 10 years. However, it was not without gains. These few years, he had collected quite a number of Tier 2 spirit medicines. He had collected all the spirit herbs required for these 3 types of medicinal pills, including the second-level low-grade spring rejuvenation pill, the second-level middle-grade soul-strengthening pill. The soul-strengthening pill was used to improve one's divine sense cultivation and strengthen one's soul. After all, foundation establishment cultivators had to prepare for the opening of the Violet Palace. The most important thing for the opening of the Violet Palace was that one's divine sense had to be strong enough. One needed to have pills that could increase the cultivation of one's divine sense. In recent years, he was already able to defeat the Dark Cloud Mountain Wolf King head-on, and often went to find trouble with it. He used a low-grade Tier 2 Divine Travel Talisman to get rid of the wolf pack and then fought the Wolf King alone. When the wolf pack surrounded him, he used the soul-extinguishing bell to attack him. His mixed origin soul-chasing whip was already more powerful than the Wolf King's innate spell. Back then, he had been chased to the point where there was no road to the heavens and no door to the earth. He had no choice but to jump off a cliff to survive. How could he not take revenge? The Wolf King had been injured several times, but it was determined to escape. It drilled into the territory of other second-rank demonic beasts, so Wang Daoyuan could not take it down. In the end, the Wolf King could not stand the humiliation and left the Dark Cloud Mountain with the wolf pack. All these years, he would return to Qingxi village every year to give his parents some spirit grains and ginseng. He also prepared some spirit-feeding pills and some nourishing pills for Big Black to help it improve its cultivation and strengthen the wolf pack as soon as possible. In the future, if the clan wanted to open up mines, forests, and other industries in the Sky/Mountain Range, they would have to guard against demonic beasts. If Big Black could grow into a second-rank demonic beast, it could occupy a piece of territory as a demonic beast. If the clan opened up industries in its territory, they would not have to worry about other demonic beasts coming to harass them. However, this was still a very distant matter. After all, Big Black had only just reached the mid-grade Tier 1. Wang Daoyuan also asked the clansmen of the Mirror Iron Mountain to send food to Wang Daoyin every year. Every time, it would be a few hundred kilograms of spirit grains, spirit fruits, and jerky. He rarely returned to the Jade Spring Mountain. Every time he returned, he would have to hand in some new varieties of spirit herbs. After all, his mission was to search for spirit herbs and expand the clan's industry. It would be hard to report if he did not take something. The clan leader and the other elders all wanted to bring him back to the Jade Spring Mountain to manage the clan's affairs. However, half a year ago, he still had to go back once because the first elder had passed away. The first elder had lived for 119 years. He was only 1 year away from the lifespan of a Qi refinement cultivator. It could be considered a rare death. Ninth great-uncle took over as the first elder, and 12th uncle took over the heavy responsibility of managing the clear glass market. The clan leader wanted him to go back and manage the Spirit Spring Cave, but he was naturally unwilling. There was nothing for him to worry about in the clan. It was time to inherit the 5 elements spiritual master's inheritance. According to the treasure map drawn by Zhao Baoguo's master, the 5 elements spiritual master's cave was not far from the border between the Sky/Mountain Range and the Huiyan Mountain Range. After reaching the border between the two mountains, he only needed to travel a few hundred kilometers due south. The cave was only 2,000 kilometers away from the main mountain range of the Sky/Mountain Range. Zhao Baoguo's master had taken the route north along the Clear Glass River, passing through the vicinity of the Jade Spring Mountain and entering the Huiyan Mountain Range. He went east along the southern foot of the Huiyan Mountain Range and reached the border between the two mountains before turning southeast. Although this route was a long detour, it was the safest. The range of the Sky/Mountain Range was determined by the range of the branch spirit veins of the main mountain range. Due to the influence of the main mountain range, these branch spirit veins had a lot of room for growth. The concentration of spirit qi in their area of influence was also higher. At the border between the two mountains, because the Huiyan Mountain Range extended to the east, it limited the expansion of the branch spirit veins of the Sky/Mountain Range to the west. As a result, the border of the Sky/Mountain Range was only 3,000 kilometers away from the main mountain range. On the other side of the clear stream, this distance was more than 7,000 kilometers. Walking back to the Huiyan Mountain Range, one only needed to go from the outer border of the Sky/Mountain Range to less than 1,000 kilometers inside to reach the 5-element spiritual master's cave. The deeper the distance, the lower the probability of encountering a rank 2 demonic beast. Although Wang Daoyuan had the soul-chasing bees to scout the way, he could avoid rank 2 demonic beasts when he entered the outer area of the Sky/Mountain Range. However, it was also very troublesome to take a detour. It was good to take less dangerous paths. However, there was no need to completely follow the original path. Zhao Baoguo's master was an itinerant cultivator. In order to avoid misunderstandings, itinerant cultivators would try their best to walk at the edge of the cultivation family's territory and avoid places where mortals lived. Wang Daoyuan was not so troublesome. Who could control him if he walked on his own territory? He could directly set off from the Mirror Iron Mountain, cross the family's territory, and enter the Huiyan mountain range. After that, he would follow the route of Zhao Baoguo's master and walk a few thousand kilometers less. In recent years, in order to prepare to go to the Five Elements Spiritual Master's cave, he had worked hard to improve his talisman crafting skills. Now, he was already a middle-grade rank 2 talisman master. He already had a 50% success rate in crafting middle-grade rank 2 talismans. This level of talisman crafting was already the limit of a qi refinement cultivator. All these years, he had only sold rank 1 talismans in the Green Willow region. Most of the rank 2 talismans were sold to the family's shops, and a small portion was kept for his own use. He had more than 300 middle-grade rank 2 talismans and more than 100 inferior grade rank 2 talismans. Coupled with a few powerful Dharma spells, he could completely fight against ordinary inferior grade rank 2 demonic beasts. The Wolf King of the Black Cloud Mountain was defeated by him. If he encountered a middle grade rank 2 demonic beast, as long as it could not fly, the success rate of escaping was still extremely high. Now that everything was ready, it was time to inherit the 5 Elements Spiritual Master's inheritance. He had been waiting for this inheritance for nearly 20 years. Chapter 135. After inheriting the 5 Elements Spiritual Master's legacy, he had to make preparations for refining the Foundation Establishment Pill. After reaching Foundation Establishment, it would not be appropriate for him to hide in Green Willow Province. He might not return to Green Willow Province after this trip. In these years, Green Willow Province had been recruiting and expanding its strength. The signs of trouble were becoming more and more obvious. The border friction between the Netherworld sect and Cruel Sun Palace had not stopped for many years. It was hard to say what would happen in the future. It would be good to leave this troublesome place. He took away all the valuable items in the store. After walking out of the store, he opened the defensive formation. This time, he did not take a spirit ship to leave Green Willow Province. Instead, he found a secluded place and went directly into the water. Using the water dragon armor and cloud mist escape in the water, he could reach 80% of a Foundation Establishment cultivator's flying speed. Even a second-rank inferior grade demon beast could not catch up to him in the water. Coupled with the dragon aura of the water dragon armor, aquatic demon beasts could not avoid him in time. He did not fight demon beasts along the way and arrived at Mirror Iron Mountain. He did not enter Mirror Iron Mountain or the Spirit Spring Cavern abode. Instead, he followed the underground river and headed north. When he reached the end of the underground river, he escaped to the surface. He was already east of Jade Spring Peak. A few hundred kilometers north was the southern foot of Mount Huiyan. The Wang clan had several properties in the southern foot of Jade Spring Peak. Among them, there was a forest in the northeast corner of the Wang clan's territory called Iron Quinoa Peak. Iron Quinoa Peak produced first-rank superior grade spirit wood, Iron Quinoa wood. Iron quinoa wood was extremely hard and was an important raw material for making spirit ships. Its value was relatively high. Iron Quinoa Peak had a first-rank superior grade spirit vein and was guarded by clan cultivators all year round. The person currently guarding Iron Quinoa Peak was Wang Daoyuan's 9th aunt, Wang Shoujing. Although Wang Shoujing was a female cultivator, she was best at fighting. The most talented of the Shou generation was Wang Shui, followed by Wang Shoufeng. Wang Shoujiang and Wang Shoujing were equally matched and tied for third. Now, their cultivation had reached the peak of qi refinement and they had become clan elders. However, their positions were behind Wang Daoyuan. One was guarding Iron Quinoa Peak and the other guarding Mirror Iron Mountain. Both were important properties of the clan. Wang Daoyuan wasn't familiar with Aunt Zhou. Due to Wang Shoujing's powerful battle prowess, she had always been out guarding the family's properties and rarely returned to Jade Spring Peak. Since he had joined the family, he had only seen Aunt Zhou a few times. He only knew that Aunt Zhou cultivated a water attribute secret art and knew nothing else. This time, he was going to inherit the 5 elements spiritual master's legacy. He didn't even tell the patriarch. The fewer people who knew, the better. 2 hours later, Tai Chiu Peak was already in sight. He did not plan to greet Jiu Gu, he just needed to go around Tai Chiu Peak. Just as he was about to bypass Iron Vermilion Peak and continue eastward, a cluster of water blue spiritual power rose from Iron Vermilion Peak. The water blue spiritual power rose to a height of 300 meters and exploded, letting out 3 dragon roars. This was the Wang family cultivator's distress signal. The more dragon roars there were, the more urgent the situation was. 3 dragon roars was already the highest level. This meant that Aunt Zhou's current situation was on the brink of death. Wang Daoyuan didn't want to take a detour. He had to hurry up and save people. He directly used a middle-grade second-rank divine travel talisman and rushed to Tai Chiu Peak at full speed. He was not far from Tai Chiu Peak, and with the use of the divine travel talisman, he arrived at the foot of the mountain in a dozen breaths. He used his divine sense to explore the mountain and saw 5 peak chi refinement cultivators blocking the entrance of a cave. The cave's defensive formation had been activated. He didn't see Aunt Zhou, she was probably inside the cave. However, these 5 cultivators were also injured. They should have been beaten by Aunt Zhou. Outside the cave, the leading cultivator said, "This woman is really difficult to deal with. She escaped into the cave. She just sent out a distress signal. This place is only a few hundred miles away from Jade Spring Peak. A Foundation establishment cultivator can arrive in half an hour. We must solve it as soon as possible. Otherwise, when the Foundation establishment cultivators arrive, we will all die." Wang Daoyuan activated the invisibility technique and breath-holding technique and slowly approached. When he was 20 meters away from the 5 people, Wang Daoyuan took out the 5 dragon soul chasing whip and used the cloud mist escape to quickly escape behind one of them. The 5 elements whip struck at the man's head. The 5 people were shrouded in clouds and mist. They were stunned for a moment before they heard an ear-piercing whip sound. A sound that sounded like a watermelon being smashed followed closely behind. The other 4 people were on full alert. A gust of wind blew and the clouds and mist dispersed. They saw that the man who was sneak attacked by Wang Daoyuan was already lying on the ground with a broken longsword in his hand. His head couldn't be found. On the other hand, the surrounding ground was scattered with blood, minced meat, and bone fragments. Wang Daoyuan's whip had broken a first-rank high-grade magic tool in the head. The other 4 people cried, "Fourth brother, fourth brother." The leading cultivator asked, "What enmity do the 5 tigers of Shanyang have with you? Why did you kill my 4th brother?" Wang Daoyuan was dressed as a loose cultivator, so these people didn't recognize him as a member of the Wang clan. He smiled and asked back, "What enmity do you have with the Wang clan?" The leading cultivator said viciously, "We took their money and we had to help them. Dao, you shouldn't have meddled in this matter. A life for a life. Since you killed my 4th brother, I'm afraid you'll beg for death today." Wang Daoyuan smiled contemptuously. "I'm too lazy to talk nonsense with you. You're just a few pieces of rotten garlic, and I don't care about you. Now tell me who's behind this, and I'll let you choose how you want to die." The youngest of the 4 people shouted angrily, "What an arrogant brat. Today, I'll show you the power of the 5 tigers of Shanyang." With that, he threw out a few golden sword talismans and rushed over. Wang Daoyuan thought to himself, "This tactic seems familiar. When I killed Zhao Baogua, I seem to have used this move too. However, after I threw out the talismans, I'll use the soul-destroying bell next." Aren't you courting death by rushing over yourself? He ignored the golden swords flying over and activated his wind-stepping boots with all his strength. After a few dodges, he easily dodged all the golden swords. When his opponent was close, he lashed out with his whip and hit the center of his opponent's eyebrows. His whip was much more powerful than a full-strength sword stab from an ordinary peak-stage chi refinement cultivator. A hole was directly punched in the center of his opponent's eyebrows. His face was full of disbelief as he slowly fell down. The remaining 3 people cried, "Fifth brother." The leading cultivator looked at the long whip in his hand and said, "What's the relationship between Dao Yu and Zhao Baogua? Although your strength is far greater than his, the whip in your hand is his." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Why do you care so much when you're about to die? Just tell me who's behind this, and I'll give you a quick death." The 3 of them knew how powerful he was, so they no longer sent their heads to him one by one. Instead, the 3 of them attacked together. Wang Daoyuan put away the 5-dragon soul-chasing whip and condensed a water dragon. Then, he cast 10,000 dragons emerge from the sea and split into 3 small water dragons that were 30 feet long, entangling the 3 of them. The leader of the 3 said reluctantly, "This is the water dragon technique. You're from the Wang family." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Isn't that obvious? If I'm not from the Wang family, why would I get involved in this mess?" Chapter 136. Wang Shoujing also walked out of the cave at this time. Her face was pale, and she seemed to have suffered serious injuries. Previously, she planned to hide in the cave and rely on the defensive array to stall for time. When she heard the abnormal noise outside, she went to the door of the cave to observe the situation. She didn't dare to come out until Wang Daoyuan used the water dragon technique. She looked at Wang Daoyuan and asked, "Are you Daoyuan?" Wang Daoyuan replied with a smile, "Aunt Jiu, it's me. We haven't seen each other for so many years. You still recognize me?" The leader of the 5 tigers of Shanyang said angrily, "We're fighting. Can you be more serious? You're looking down on us too much." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Sorry, I almost forgot about you. I'm in a hurry. Do you want to tell me now, or wait until I kill 2 of you and leave 1 for questioning?" He took out his whip and was about to kill. The 3 of them were very nervous. At this time, a shout came from afar, "Who's attacking my Wang family's property?" This was the voice of the patriarch. Wang Daoyuan's scalp tingled. Did he come so quickly? He wanted to leave some spirit talismans for Aunt Jiu to protect herself after dealing with the 3 of them, and then quickly slip away. He didn't expect the patriarch to arrive so quickly. It was too late to run. He hoped that he wouldn't be directly captured back to Jade Spring Peak. After a while, the patriarch landed in front of the cave. Seeing that Wang Daoyuan was also here, he teased, "Oh, isn't this the 9th elder of the Wang family? Why are you here instead of fighting with the Black Cloud Wolf Pack in the oasis?" After the death of the first elder, Wang Daoyuan's position was advanced by 1. He became the 9th elder. Wang Daoyuan revealed an innocent smile. "Fifth granduncle, you already know. When I first came to the oasis, I went into the mountains to search for spiritual items and was chased by the Black Cloud Wolf Pack. In the past few years, my strength has surpassed the Wolf King. How can I not take revenge? The Wolf King was bullied by me several times and couldn't bear the humiliation, so he ran away with the Wolf Pack. There was no point in staying in the oasis, so I wanted to come back to Yenshan to play. As soon as I got here, I ran into the Shanyang 5 mice causing trouble, so I took care of them." Wang Jian had some understanding of his strength. Although he was surprised that he could bully the Wolf King to the point that he couldn't stay any longer, he didn't lose his composure. Wang Shoujing, Jiu, was not familiar with him. When she heard that he could actually beat the wolf pack away, her face was full of surprise. The remaining 3 of the 5 tigers of Shanyang were even more frightened. What kind of ruthless character had they encountered? Wang Jian pointed at the three guys who were tied up by the water dragon and asked, "These are the guys who attacked Mount Taisha this time. Are they the ones?" Wang Shoujing indignantly replied, "It was them. They pretended to be loose cultivators looking for work and waited for an opportunity to sneak attack me." Wang Jian asked the three of them, "Who ordered you?" The three of them remained silent. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Fifth granduncle, it's a waste of time to ask them. Let's just use the questioning heart talisman." Then, he controlled the water dragon to choke the second and third tigers unconscious, leaving only the eldest. He stuck a first-grade high-grade questioning heart talisman on the eldest and asked, "Who ordered you to attack the Wang family's property?" The eldest answered woodenly, "It's the Liang family. They gave us 300 spirit stones each and told us to attack Mount Taisha, kill everyone from the Wang family, and destroy everything that could be destroyed. After we were done, they would give us another 300 spirit stones each." Wang Daoyuan knocked the eldest unconscious and said with a smile, "That old man Liang doesn't have much time left. It seems like the Liang family is a little anxious." Wang Jian asked, "The Liang family didn't invade our family's property in the Qingxi area, but they stabbed us in places far away from Qingxi. What do you think, Daoyuan?" Wang Daoyuan thought for a long time and answered, "I can think of two possibilities. First, they were still planning to attack Mount Taisha, but the family had strengthened their forces there. If the Liang family wanted to make a move, they would cause too much of a commotion and it wouldn't be easy to clean up the mess. They would harass other places and lure the tiger away from the mountain before attacking Mount Taisha. Second, the Liang family changed their target. They gave up on Mount Taisha and changed their target. The hardest property to defend for our Wang family is Mount Taisha. The other properties are at most 1,000 li away from Jade Spring Peak. Foundation establishment cultivators can quickly reinforce them. It's even more difficult to take down the other properties. Thus, if the Liang family gave up on Mount Taisha, their next target might not be our Wang family's properties. It's already hard enough for the Liang family to gnaw on our Wang family, so it's impossible for them to find trouble with the Yang family. Then, the Liang family's only reliable choice is to expand westward and bully the Meng family in the west. Among the Wang, Yang, and Meng families, the Meng family is the weakest. Back then, the Meng family sold everything they had and even borrowed 20,000 spirit stones from our Wang family to buy a single foundation establishment pill. Although they've improved over the past few years, they're still struggling to make ends meet. By attacking the Meng family, the Liang family can obtain the greatest benefits with the smallest price. By harassing our Wang family's properties, they'll also make us run for our lives and we won't dare to send reinforcements to the Meng family. Wang Shoujing asked, "Both of these situations are possible. No matter which one it is, it can cause huge losses to our Wang family. How should we defend?" Wang Daoyuan smiled. "Actually, it's very easy to determine which situation it is. We just need to look at the situation of the Yang and Meng families. If the two families are safe and sound, then the Liang family wants to lure the tiger away from the mountain and take down Mount Taisha. If that's the case, we'll have to invest more manpower in Mount Taisha. If the Liang family has designs on the Meng family and harasses our Wang family, it's impossible that they won't harass the Yang family. After all, the Yang family is the biggest obstacle to the Liang family's expansion. If the Yang family's properties are also harassed and the Liang family increases their suppression of the Meng family, then they'll eat up the Meng family. If they attack the Meng family, we just need to give more spirit talismans to the clansmen guarding the properties." Wang Jian nodded and said, "Dao Yuan's words make sense. I'll go back and send people to inquire about the Yang and Meng families. You brat, you're made to be independent, but you'd rather run around than take care of the family's affairs. After she reached foundation establishment, you've restrained yourself a little, but you're still the same as before. This time, don't even think about running if I catch you. Come back to Jade Spring Peak with me to take care of family affairs." After saying that, he reached out to grab Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan used Cloud Mist Escape and fled 300 feet away. He begged for mercy, fifth granduncle, you can't turn your back on me. I've sent many good things to the family over the years. I've shed blood for the family, I've done meritorious deeds for the family business. You can't treat me like this. His words made both of them laugh. Wang Jian waved his hand and said, forget it, you can continue to run around. I can't be bothered with you. The Liang family is a little crazy, and it's a troubled time. Don't run around heaven/mountain range all day. If you have time, inspect the family business. Your Aunt Jiao is injured. Why don't you guard Tai Chiu Peak for a few days and let her return to Jade Spring Peak to recuperate? They wanted to use the family business to tie him down. Once he took over Tai Chiu Peak, if the family didn't send people over, he wouldn't dare to leave and would be tied down here. How could he fall for this trick? He immediately replied, Aunt Jiao's injuries aren't serious. I still have a lot of medicinal pills and spirit talismans. I can't use so much myself, so I'll give some to Aunt Jiao. After saying that, he took out 5 offensive, defensive, and evasive level 2 mid-grade spirit talismans. He also took out dozens of healing pills and spirit energy recovery pills and stuffed them into Aunt Jiao's hands, as if he was afraid that she wouldn't want them. After that, he used cloud mist escape and fled several hundred feet away before escaping through the earth. Before he left, he didn't forget to control the water dragon and strangle the remaining 3 tigers of the 5 tigers of Shanyang to death. This was to prevent the family head and Aunt Jiao from being too kind and letting the tigers return to the mountain. Chapter 137. Wang Shoujing was at a loss. After being stuffed with so many talismans and elixirs, she was unable to react. This was a level 2 spirit talisman. In the past, he couldn't even exchange for it. Now, he was given so many for free. She asked the clan leader, fifth uncle, these talismans. Without waiting for her to finish, Wang Jian smiled and said, you don't have to care about these things. Beiyuan is filthy rich. The snacks he gives to Daoyin every year are worth much more than this. Shi had nothing to do, so he swindled wine from him. He didn't care. It's not safe here, just keep it for self-defense. Wang Shoujing was relieved. Looking at the corpse on the ground, she asked, I haven't seen him for many years. I didn't expect him to be so capable. Is he always like this? Sometimes he's like a child, and sometimes he's ruthless. Wang Jian knew that she was talking about the matter of killing people. He smiled and said, Dao Yuan has always been very nice to his clansmen. He doesn't put on any airs when dealing with the mortals of his clan. Once he faced an enemy, his attacks were truly ruthless. However, for him to be able to live in an environment like Oasis for close to 20 years, it would be strange if he was not ruthless. When he needed to be ruthless, he was especially ruthless. When he needed to be kind, he was also very kind. He was not as soft-hearted as Shui. If he could build his foundation, he would be more suitable to be the clan leader than Shui. Unfortunately, he was as restless as Shui. He liked to run around even more than Shui. This child has suffered quite a bit, but he's not willing to return to Jade Spring Peak to enjoy his life. If Wang Daoyuan could hear this, he would definitely laugh himself to death. When he was in the Green Willow continent, he drank Tier 2 spirit tea every day, ate all kinds of spirit beast meat, and took pills with honey. Even the Violet Mansion elders of the Netherworld sect wouldn't be willing to waste spirit stones like this. How could this be called suffering? Wang Daoyuan used the earth escape art to leave Tai Chi Peak, and traveled over 30 miles in one breath before returning to the surface. Huiyan Mountain's spiritual energy was thin, and second-rank demonic beasts were extremely rare, so it was not very dangerous. At the southern foot of Huiyan Mountain, the valuable mountain peaks had all been developed into mines or forests by the various clans. It was the most important source of raw materials for Qingli County. Many rogue cultivators made a living in this area. They either hunted rank 1 demonic beasts, picked rank 1 spirit herbs, or did some business without any capital like the 5 tigers of Shanyang. Most of them were still doing manual labor in their families' businesses. Wang Daoyuan was dressed as a rogue cultivator and was not very eye-catching. He walked all the way to the east. The traces of cultivator activity gradually decreased, and the spiritual qi also became denser. Soon, Wang Daoyuan arrived at the border between the two mountains. There were no longer any traces of rogue cultivators. He changed his direction here and turned south, entering the heaven/mountain range. This meant that rank 2 demonic beasts often appeared in this area. He released the soul-chasing wasp to lead the way while he used the rank 2 mid-grade divine strider talisman to follow behind. After more than 10 years, the soul-chasing wasp king finally made a breakthrough and became a rank 1 upper-grade spirit insect. The ordinary soul-chasing wasp also became a rank 1 mid-grade spirit insect. Perhaps due to the restrictions of the spiritual pearl, none of the demonic beasts or spiritual insects in the spiritual pearl were able to break through to the second stage. Yin-Yi tiger, golden-winged goshawk, and fierce blood boar were rank 2 demonic beasts. Logically speaking, as long as one lived in a place with dense spiritual energy, one would be able to break through to the second stage just by eating and waiting for death. However, without exception, they were all stuck at the peak of rank 1 upper grade. They were only one step away from the second stage, but they were unable to break through. This shattered Wang Daoyuan's dream of nurturing high-grade spirit beasts to bully others. However, the rank of the soul-chasing wasp did not affect him much. He raised the soul-chasing wasp mainly as a support force, so it was not a big problem for them to have weak combat power. After these ordinary soul-chasing wasp advanced, their flying speed had improved greatly. He could not outrun them even if he used the rank 2 mid-grade divine strider talisman. The rank 1 mid-grade soul-chasing wasp had a larger sensing range for spiritual objects, so its scouting effect was naturally better. He followed the soul-chasing wasp for hundreds of kilometers, but he did not encounter a single rank 2 demonic beast. According to the map left behind by Zhao Baoguo's master, the 5 elements spiritual master's cave abode was about 150 kilometers south of him. At this moment, the soul-chasing wasp that was scouting ahead reported an abnormal situation. There were many demonic beasts blocking the way ahead. Moreover, it was a rank 2 low-grade demonic beast and a large group of rank 1 high-grade demonic beasts. It was very likely that it was a group of demonic beasts with a leader. Through the Wasp King, he understood the specific situation of the demonic beasts blocking the way ahead. The soul-chasing wasp that led the way reported that the demonic beasts ahead were dark cloud wolves. When Wang Daoyuan was in the Green Willow province, he often found trouble with the dark cloud wolves. Now, even the soul-chasing wasp recognized the dark cloud wolves. Knowing that the demonic beasts blocking the way ahead were dark cloud wolves, he could not help but laugh. It seems that I am really fated with dark cloud wolves. I fought with a large pack of dark cloud wolves for a few years and raised a small pack of wolves at home. Now, I have encountered another pack of wolves. If it was someone else, even if they were in the Foundation establishment realm, they would not dare to provoke a pack of dark cloud wolves. However, he was not afraid. In the Dark Cloud Mountain, he had accumulated a wealth of experience fighting dark cloud wolves. At this moment, he could use the soul-extinguishing bell with all his strength to severely injure a rank 1 dark cloud wolf within 300 meters. He was not afraid of being surrounded by a pack of wolves. Wang Daoyuan recalled the soul-chasing wasp and walked straight ahead. When he was 400 meters away from the Wolf King, he saw the Wolf King's appearance and the whip marks on its body caused by the 5 dragons' soul-chasing whip. He was immediately happy. Isn't this the pack of wolves from the Dark Cloud Mountain by the 100 Rivers Lake? It's really fate that we can still meet after migrating for thousands of miles. The Wolf King looked at him and laughed. It was at a loss. Although it did not recognize the human in front of it, the smell was very familiar. During Wang Daoyuan's time in the Green Willow province, he had always maintained a disguised state. There was still a big difference between his original appearance and his original appearance. While it was still thinking about who the person in front of it was, Wang Daoyuan took out the 5-dragon soul-chasing whip and used the smoke escape to directly rush toward the Wolf King. When the Wolf King saw the whip, it immediately remembered who the person in front of it was and revealed a panicked expression. It had already fled so far, but it still encountered this sworn enemy. He moved to a distance of 3 meters in front of the Wolf King and lashed out with the whip. The Wolf King hurriedly dodged, but its skin was still grazed by the tip of the whip and it let out a miserable cry. It ran forward without looking back. When it was more than 300 meters away from Wang Daoyuan, it raised its head and let out a mournful howl. Then, the pack of wolves followed it and fled in the east direction. The purpose of Wang Daoyuan's trip was the 5-element spiritual master's inheritance, so he did not have the leisure to chase after the Wolf King. If not for the fact that the pack of wolves was blocking the route recorded on the treasure map, he would not have made a move. After driving away the dark cloud wolves blocking the way, he released the soul-chasing bees to open up a path for 200 miles. More than 60 miles ahead, there was a short mountain that was 300 meters high. Although the mountain was not high, the area it occupied was not small. From a distance, the width of the foot of the mountain was about 20 to 30 miles. According to the information recorded on the treasure map, this was the place where the 5-element spiritual master's cave was located. At this time, the concentration of spiritual energy in the place he was at was obviously lower than the places he had just passed. After moving forward for more than 10 miles, the concentration of spiritual energy was even lower. It was only equivalent to a mid-grade spiritual vein. When he was only about 30 miles away from the small mountain, he could no longer feel the presence of spiritual energy around him. There were still plants growing in the surroundings, but they were all ordinary plants and could not even be counted as spiritual plants. This was another place where spiritual energy was lacking. He did not know what the 5-element spiritual master had left behind, but it could actually drain the spiritual energy in a radius of several dozen miles. Chapter 138. Wang Daoyuan didn't need to explore for a long time like the last time he came across a place with no spiritual energy. The treasure map left behind by Zhao Baoguo's master recorded the way to enter the 5-elements Daoist's cave, as well as the location of the entrance. He came to the foot of the south side of the short mountain and found the entrance to the cave recorded on the treasure map. This door didn't look like a door at all, it was just a huge rock. The rock had white, blue, black, red and yellow colors. He put his hand on the rock, at the same time injecting the spiritual energy of the 5 elements into the rock. Then, extremely pure spiritual energy of the 5 elements came out of the rock. The pure spiritual energy circulated in his body for a cycle, some of it was absorbed by his spiritual roots. The spiritual energy returned to the rock, and the rock moved to the right, revealing the door behind it. Wang Daoyuan entered the door, and the rock blocked it again. Inside the door was a huge stone room. On the back wall of the stone room, the original manual of the 5 elements primordial technique was inscribed. On the side wall, there was also a brief introduction of the 5 elements Daoist's life. Zhao Baoguo's master should have obtained the technique and the 5-dragon soul chasing whip from here. At the bottom right corner of the back wall, there was a door more than 3 meters wide and 6 meters high. On the side of the door, there was a carving. 5 elements primordial technique can enter this door and inherit this old man's inheritance. He walked in front of the door, and put his hand in a dent on the door. A surge of spiritual energy of the 5 elements came from the door, and entered his body through his palm. This spiritual energy followed his meridians, and then went into his dantian. Finally, the spiritual energy merged with his body, and disappeared. With a rumble, the door shook. The dust that had accumulated for who knew how many years began to fall down. He used the stainless technique to sweep away all the dust. The door finally opened. Inside, there was a passage dozens of meters long, and at the end of the passage, there was a stone room. Wang Daoyuan walked in front of the door, and pushed it with his hand. The door didn't have any restrictions, and with a gentle push, it opened. Looking inside, there was a stone couch in front of the back wall of the stone room. A skeleton was sitting cross-legged on the couch. The clothes on its body had already decayed and turned to ashes. Below the couch was a praying mat. Apart from that, there was nothing else in the stone room. He had heard many stories about high-level cultivators who passed away in meditation and left behind their legacies to attract cultivators of the younger generation to seize the opportunity to possess them. It was hard to say whether the five-element spiritual master was sincere in leaving behind his inheritance or if he wanted to possess him. The previous two doors had been tried by Zhao Baogua's master. There was no danger, but the situation inside the stone house was hard to say. After releasing a few soul-chasing bees, he didn't find any traps or restrictions. He summoned his doppelganger, Zhao Baogua, from the space within the spiritual pearl. Although more than 300 years had passed in the space of the spirit pearl, the lifespan of the living things in the space was still calculated according to the time in the outside world. After all, the space of the spirit pearl could only be considered a special secret realm in the great world. The length of one's lifespan was determined by the laws of the great world, and the mystic realm could not change that. Therefore, the clones in the space were still alive and well. However, as they were refined into clones, their souls were severely damaged, and their cultivation progress was slow. The slowest clone, Qi Yun, was originally at the early stage Qi refinement realm. Now, it was only at the 6th stage Qi refinement realm. The fastest clone, Liang Zixing, was already at the peak of Qi refinement realm. The clone, Zhao Baogua, was now at the 9th stage of Qi refinement realm and was about to break through to the peak of Qi refinement realm. It just so happened that he also cultivated the 5 elements primordial technique, so he could be a pathfinder. Although his soul would also be finished if his doppelganger was possessed, at least it was better than him being finished. The clone, Zhao Baogua, walked into the stone house and searched carefully, but he didn't find anything like an inheritance. There was only a futon on the ground, facing the remains. Could it be that he wanted someone to kowtow? It was possible. The first door was to see if the successor had the penta-spiritual roots, and the second door was to see if the successor could cultivate the 5 elements primordial technique to greater success. Both of these Taoist gates tested one's aptitude, and this test was likely to test whether the successor had the heart to respect the master. If the 5 elements spiritual master really only left behind an inheritance and didn't have the intention to possess him, then what he wanted was nothing more than a reputation. He definitely hoped that his successor would respect his master and spread his name. He controlled the clone to go over, kneel on the futon, and kowtow 3 times. A crack appeared on the stone floor where the clone knocked his head. The stones near the crack began to move, and the crack became bigger and bigger. Finally, a half-foot square pit appeared. There was a protruding stone in the pit. The clone pressed the stone with his hand, and the stone wall on the right of the stone house began to vibrate. After a while, a door appeared on the stone wall. It was very similar to the door to the mystic realm he had encountered in the east of the 100 River Lake. There were obvious spatial fluctuations. Behind this door was very likely another mystic realm. Following the principle of releasing the soul-chasing bees if there was no solution, he released more than 20 soul-chasing bees and entered the door. Soon, the soul-chasing bees sent back news that there was no danger inside. He let the clone walk in front to block the sabers while he followed behind. After entering the cave, they walked through a section of the cave and finally arrived at a spacious place. This was a stone room. There were only 2 bookshelves in the stone room, one on the left and one on the right. They were placed on the walls of the stone room. There were books on the left bookshelf, but there weren't many of them. There were only 4 books. One of them was similar to the book that recorded the Golden Rock Wrestling Dragon technique. It was made of some kind of metal, and the contents were directly inscribed on it. The others were beast skin books similar to the 10,000 Spirits Atlas. The contents were probably also recorded with spiritual sense. There were many things on the right bookshelf, but they were all jade slips. There were nearly 100 of them. If they were all cultivation techniques, spells, and the like, he would have made a huge profit. How could the things collected by a golden core Daoist master be lacking? He didn't dare to look directly, as he had to guard against the possibility of being possessed. He ordered the clone to put all the jade slips and books into a storage pouch. He then put the storage pouch into the space of the spirit pearl. He had the 3 clones in the space of the spirit pearl check what was recorded in these jade slips and books. After some investigation, he found that the metal book recorded the main cultivation technique of the 5 elements Daoist master, the 5 spirits immortal art. With this book, this trip was worth it. The 3 beastskin books didn't record cultivation techniques or spells. The names of these 3 books were Biography of the 5 Elements Daoist, Experience, and Records of Beiyuan. Biography of the 5 Elements Daoist was the record of the 5 Elements Daoist's life experience. Experience was his cultivation experience, including the process of his creation, cultivation, and improvement of cultivation techniques. There was also the experience of practicing the various arts of cultivation, including the inheritance of formations, refining tools, and refining pills. Among the 3 major arts of formations, tools, and pills, the inheritance of formations was the highest, reaching the 4th rank upper grade. The inheritance of refining tools was at the 3rd rank middle grade, and the inheritance of refining pills was only at the 2nd rank upper grade. Generally, golden core cultivators would minor in other arts in addition to their main arts. The 5 elements Daoist's main arts were formations, and his minor arts were refining tools and refining pills. Records of Beiyuan was the encyclopedia of Beiyuan Shoxian. It recorded the history of Beiyuan Shoxian, the geography, the major powers and their inheritances, as well as all kinds of spiritual items. These 4 books could be said to be the 5 elements Daoist's life's work. As for those jade slips, Wang Daoyuan almost died of heartache. The era that the 5 elements Daoist lived in was too long ago. And jade slips were the simplest recording tools. They couldn't withstand the test of time, and most of the contents of the jade slips had already disappeared. A few jade slips that were better preserved only had a few sporadic sentences or even a few words left. They couldn't be cultivated. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.